Hello everybody, my name's Matt and welcome to the Retronomicon. Today's topic, sports games. Sports games. Sports.
Oh, shit the bed, here we go.
Generally, when it comes to sports games, I'm not a fan. FIFA, Madden, Football Manager, it's easy to get lost in all the titles being churned out year after year by shameless cash-grabbing games companies. EA Sports. But with that said, I've been known to enjoy skateboarding games, because yes, skateboarding is a sport. The occasional wrestling game, playing with my siblings and driving each other crazy with Royal Rumbles. But nothing compares to my love of tennis games. There are an absolute fuckload of tennis games. There's the very basic games on the NES and the SNES. Hell, tennis was the first game ever made, right? Enthralling. I've noticed we've not seen many tennis games on the next generation consoles, with perhaps the most notable being Mario Tennis Aces on Nintendo Switch, which is a solid tennis game in my opinion, and I highly recommend it to anybody remotely interested in the French-turned-British sport or the fat bear needs an American-Italian plumber. Today's video is going to take a step back in time and talk about my experience of tennis games, my initiation into the world of tennis games, eventually focusing on my two favourite tennis games of all time, Mario Tennis 64 and Virtua Tennis 2 on the Sega Dreamcast. But first, we need to start at the beginning, my initiation into the world of tennis games. My story begins with Shigeru Miyamoto in the mid-80s. After spending this revolutionary decade designing legendary video game characters like Donkey Kong and Super Mario, Miyamoto thought that the little mustached carpenter would do well as a tennis umpire. 15 a love to Luigi. Thanks, bro. And so simply, tennis was made for the NES. What's there to say? It's tennis. You don't play as a Nintendo character, just a little man running back and forth against a computer player or second player on the opposite side, with a beep boop bop, instead of the overly sexual grunting of live tennis. You can perform 3 types of shots, with one of those shots the volley or smash from being close to the net. Otherwise you're left with the 2 face buttons to perform a forehand or backhand shot when you press A, or a lob shot when you hit B. But why am I talking about this game? This isn't my first tennis game. I was still a glimmer in my father's eye when this was a thing. This is my first tennis game. The 1989 port of the original NES Tennis to the Game Boy as a launch title. I cannot tell you how much of this game I played as a kid. And playing it again for this video made me realise how awesome that soundtrack is. Other than that, what's there to say? It's tennis. You don't play as Nintendo characters, just a little man running back and forth against a computer player or a second player on the opposite side with a beep boop bop. The controls are the same, as you're still limited to 2 face buttons on the Game Boy with an A to hit and a B to lob. Fast forward now to the summer of 2000. Mario Tennis is released on the N64, developed by Camelot Software and published by Nintendo, and well, my 10-year-old mind could not handle it. Holy fuck, the ball's on fire! And yes, this time around we're actually playing as Nintendo characters, like Mario, Donkey Kong, and Chode. The game begins with a cinematic. Yes, this is a tennis game with a story. Got a problem? No. Good. Mario has hung up his umpire uniform in favour of the racket, although I have a feeling it's just so he can school his girlfriends at tennis. We join the crew in the middle of a tennis tournament, eventually culminating in the grand final between Mario and Luigi because, I mean, let's face it, who else was it going to be? The princess of one game, Daisy? Or Chode. Anyway, before the final set can begin, Mario and Luigi show up and ruin everyone's good time. That's right, this was the game that introduced the character Waluigi, a purple abomination that's been memed to all hell that was only introduced to the franchise so that the evil fat Salvador Dali character over here could have a doubles partner. It seems that all hope for peaceful spot of tennis has vanished. Just then you think things couldn't get any worse, but oh no! Bowser descends from the sky and with the ghost of his son in tow to fuck up the court and beat everyone with a spiked racket. Oh, don't worry everybody, it's okay. King Crab over here just wants to play a bit of tennis. What is going on here? Why is everybody cheering? What's there to be happy about? Bowser just ruined everyone's good time with his dramatic entrance. I'm with Waluigi on this one. At least they made this asinine character relatable for a second. What was the score of the game between Mario and Luigi? Was that the grand final? Why is everyone cheering? Why have Wario and Waluigi decided not to wreck the thing anymore and join in with everybody else cheering? Why is everybody cheering? Enter the real antagonist of the game, that dreaded Bob, and wanders out and explodes, killing everybody at the end. The game actually has quite a large roster of 14 characters to choose from, with 2 extra to unlock by playing through the tournament modes, as well as 4 bonus characters that you can transfer from the Game Boy Color version. What the fuck? I never had this as a kid though, so we'll be ignoring those for now, and fuck me am I glad we are. Each character has a different specialty, with characters like Mario and Luigi having all-rounder stats, while characters like Bowser, Donkey Kong Jr. and Salvador Dali over here having an advantage in power shots, but these specialties act as a trade-off to other stats. As you'll notice, the power characters move at the speed of moss, while speed specialists like Birdo, Yoshi and Baby Mario... Wait, Baby Mario? They let an infant play tennis? All have great movement speed on the court, but... well, can't hit the ball for shit. The two other specialties are Technique and Tricky, which covers the rest of the cast: Peach, Daisy, Chode, Waluigi, and Shy Guy as the Technique specialists, and Boo and Paratrooper Koopa as the only tricky characters. These specialists will make a huge difference to your experience in the game, so pick a character that is going to reflect the playstyle you aim for, whether that be for picking Bowser to have the fastest, most powerful shots in the game, but with little accuracy, or using Boo's trickery to curve the ball, constantly leaving your opponent to run around their side of the court feeling like a complete buffoon. Well, okay. That just happened. As well as a much more expensive cast of recognisable Nintendo characters, mostly. This was also the first tennis game that I played with what are now considered to be commonplace mechanics, including a circle or star that indicates where the ball is going to land after a lob, and the ability to charge a shot as the ball approaches. And honestly, seeing the cast charge energy like a Super Saiyan and unleash an explosive shot with an accompanying satisfying sound effect is just brilliant. Most significantly, however, is the larger variety of shots available to you when compared to its predecessors. While the first Virtua tennis game tried to give the player more control over the ball when hitting or lobbing, Mario Tennis assigns different shots to particular inputs. For example, the A button continues to be the topspin button, similar to previous tennis games, while the B button is used to slice the ball, and pressing both at the same time will strike the ball with a flat, or when you're correctly positioned, a smash. Whereas the lob shots and drop shots require you to press A then B, or B then A, respectively. Although complicated at first, the N64's controller face buttons allow you to conveniently slide your thumb between the two buttons, making the inputs quite simple once you get the hang of it. All of these improvements to the controls and mechanics open up the game for a lot more strategy, which is a fantastic improvement over the frustratingly simplistic controls of the games that came before. Okay, so let's play. I'm gonna pick Luigi because, well, if anyone knows me, they know I'm a fan of the green. And so for the main menu we have access to several game modes: Exhibition, Tournament, Ring Shot, Bowser Stage and Piranha Challenge. Alright. Already we can see a huge variety of content here. Winning the Tournament Cups is required to unlock even more content, including 3 more bonus cups that honestly I had no idea existed as a kid. To unlock them you have to beat all the standard cups with all 16 characters. So not a big ask then. Fuck! Each tournament cup consists of 3 rounds against opponents that increase in difficulty with each round, and with changing court types including clay and grass courts which affect the speed and the bounce of the ball. Exhibition mode allows you to play a custom game with whatever rules you like, while the remaining modes offer even more ways to play, with the ring mode acting as a mini-game style mode that rewards accuracy and shot placement, while the Bowser stage acts as a Mario Kart style battle mode, allowing the players to use items to fuck over the other team in a furious all-out battle for court supremacy. The Piranha Challenge acts as a survival mode that sees 3 piranha plants shooting balls across to your side of the court, where you must continuously return the balls well and get them past the computer player on the opposite side. This mode requires you to react to the approaching balls and choose the appropriate angle and shot type in order to maneuver as many balls as you can around your opponent. But let's stick with tournament mode for now. Let's take a look at how the game plays. Okay, so let's start with the first cup, the Mushroom Cup. Okay, first victim, it's Koopa Paratrooper. Got wrecked. No joke, this opponent is absurdly easy. What did I expect from what is essentially a tutorial level? I won nearly every point the same way, and won with a service ace to conclude the first game. Also failed to mention that this game has an awesome replay of the winning shot after every point, although that doesn't mean that you won't start skipping it quickly so that you can get back to the action. Some of these replays, however, are silly, gratuitous, and I fucking love them. The character animations at the end of points, whether they win or lose, are also unique to the characters. Anyways, after beating Paratrooper so hard that he deflates, it's on to my next opponent. Chode. A little tougher, but still a single set match, so I dispatched the fungal fucker without breaking a sweat. It's also worth noting that I love how each character gives off a different spark on their racket when they serve. You have to appreciate this level of attention to detail in a Mario-based tennis game. My last opponent of the tournament is Yoshi, and now we have a battle of the greens on our hands. Who will come out on top? Mario's slave? Or Mario's slave? After some long rallies and an extra set, I was able to bring home the gold. Why is there a Chode on my trophy? Fucking gross, man. At the end of every tournament, you also get a unique cinematic for each character, which I always found adorable, and gives you added motivation to complete the tournaments with each character so you can see their unique movies. Poor Luigi runs in circles cheering before dropping his trophy and shouting after as it's taken away by a lackey too.
Come back here, what's the matter with you? Oh, my trophy.
That won't be the last trophy he loses. Okay, next up is the Flower Cup, and the game amps up the difficulty. This took me a while to beat as a kid, as well as when replaying for this video. In fact, my first attempt, I lost. Managed to clutch a win on my second attempt though, and we swiftly moved on to the third cup, the Star Cup. Holy shit, it's as hard as balls. I'm not ashamed to admit that I couldn't beat this, and in fact it did such a good job of regressing me back to my old angry childhood self that I considered biting a pillow in frustration. So, all in all, Mario Tennis 64 is still a good time. It introduced a ton of mechanics, at least to me anyway, which are now commonplace in tennis games. It offered tons of replay value with unlockables in the tournament mode, and of course, tons of ways to play with your friends, mixing up the formula like the Bowser Battle stage. But after playing this game, my interest in tennis games remained fairly dormant for the next few years. It wasn't until I was, say, 15 or so, that I first experienced Virtua Tennis 2 at a seaside arcade. I was immediately captivated by the game's speed and impressive graphics, for the time, and commenced to play my friends at several rounds that holiday. So it wasn't long after this initial experience that I managed to pick up a copy of the Dreamcast port. The Dreamcast experience was practically identical to the arcade version, only with a newly added single player experience in the form of World Tour mode, which we'll be focusing on here. Now I'm not going to bullshit you, this mode is ridiculous. That's tedious and ridiculous together. The mode consists of repeatedly playing the same minigames over and over to increase stats, depending on the minigame you choose. Sure, they get harder as you unlock harder training regiments, but the goal is always the same, and the games just become more and more of a chore. Each time you play a minigame, a day passes on the calendar. I've known sports games to handle career modes like this before, but I don't think I've ever actually tried to play a mode like this until playing this game, and while I'm not a fan, I'm not ashamed to admit that I played the fuck out of this. As for the legendary players you can play, there are 8 male and 8 female characters to choose from. There's Patrick Rafter, Tim Henman, my boy, Cedric Cool, Calm, Collected, P.O.Lean. Man's a fucking monster. Yevgeny Kavalnikov, Tommy Haas, Thomas Enqvist, Magnus Norman, and Carlos Moya to choose from out of the men, and Serena Williams, Venus Williams, Lindsay Davenport, Monica Seles, Mary Pierce, is that an X? Aaron Sanchez, Jelena Jelly Dokic, and Alexandra Stevenson to choose from out of the women. But the best part? You get to make up your own character. I'm going to call my guy, Tits McGee. The amount of customization options is of course limited by today's standards, but this would have been adequate for the time. But there are only 4 faces to choose from, 18 hairstyles, and 4 skin and hair colours. Why can't I make him green? Other than that, you can change your height and weight, turning your character into a right chubby bastard, as well as changing your short, skirt, and racket colours, and give yourself wristbands on your left, or right, or both. Holy shit! And lastly, your stance, whether that be left or right-handed for your strokes, or single or double-handed backhand preferences. Not sure what this achieves in the grand scheme, but it's nice to see they tried. Okay, let's play. Looks like Tits is all ready to go now, so let's hop into a new career. Wait, I have to make a female player as well? Oh, well, this is awesome. Okay, you've got to compliment my other character, so I'll call you, Boob McGee. Oh yes, perfect. And she's 6 foot, of course, and we're ready to go. Read invitation card. Invitation card. We are glad to announce that you are qualified to join the SPT World Tour. 2 tennis players, 1 male and 1 female will attend the tour. Challenge several events that are held all over the world. Tournament. They will be held all over the world according to the tour calendar. Repeating yourself. Training. Challenge minigames to increase your player's skill. Home. You can change the player's equipment and confirm his/her ability. Confirm his ability? Playing fucking tennis. Shop. You can buy tennis equipment such as rackets and apparel. Try to be the strongest tennis player in this tour. We hope he or she will be the world champion someday. Yes, someday is right. SPT Tour, Sega Professional Tennis Association. Select my home. Well, I'm not going with the UK or America because that's just boring. So let's go with right here. Off the south coast of Australia. In the middle of the fucking ocean. Ah, peaceful. No psychotic presidents or fugly prime ministers here. What better place to begin our new tennis career? Oh, fuck's sake! Anyway, so here we have the calendar. Each month is 4 days, don't ask. But all I can tell you is that before long you're going to be incredibly grateful that each month is only 4 days, because oh my Christ do we have some training to do. As you can see for our January schedule, we don't have a match to play until day 3, so right off the bat we have no choice but to play 2 basic minigames to start improving our stats. This game's idea of a tutorial, I suppose. So let's take a look at the games. We have Bullseye. A simple game that has you trying to hit a target on the other side of the court to increase your score with multipliers that reward you for good, continued accuracy. All of the games at each difficulty level have targets to meet, which give you even more experience to your stat meters. And each game gives you different levels of experience in each stat, so you're going to want to find the games you're good at, and remember to grind them later to get those particular stats up that you need improving. Even if you fail, like I did here, you still get experience, so the training regiments aren't that annoying to fail, which is good. As your meters go up, your stats level up, which will allow you access to harder versions of the training games. While that one was relatively painless, as the timer only allowed the minigame to go on for a few seconds. Okay, day 2, and as you can see, we can't enter the women's double tournament this year, as poor Boob has yet to even take a swing. So we're going to play another minigame and see if we can get some more experience for the men's single game on day 3. Let's go, tits! Okay, let's try Tank Attack. This game's usually returning balls fired from the moving tanks. You have to return them and hit them as you do so. Harder hits do more damage to the tanks, and the objective is to defeat the red boss tank in the time limit. Whoa, that was close. Nearly failed that one as well. That would have been embarrassing. But hey, look, we went up a couple of levels in our stroke power. Anyway, so now it's day 3. Let's try this male singles tournament. Oh no, I've got to play cool, calm, collected Cedric Pierline in round 1. Fucking pray for me. As you can see, a game of virtual tennis takes the same mechanics we have seen already. Serving works much the same as it did in Mario Tennis, although now we have a power meter displayed when we serve, which may make getting perfect serves a little too easy in my opinion. In Mario Tennis you had to learn the timing, and it felt as though the game was rewarding you for it. The movement is very fluid, and honestly, these animations are bloody excellent for the 90s. The character models look great, the game runs smooth, with no hiccups whatsoever. You don't have a button to hit a flat like in Mario Tennis, but you have A and B for topspin and slice respectively, as well as X to lob. What you do feel in this game is a much better sense of control over the ball's direction. When you hit a button for a particular shot, the lovely circular directional stick on the Dreamcast controller does a much better job of allowing you to fine-tune your shot direction, which compared to Mario Tennis seems a lot more on point. So while you don't have balls on fire or anything, this feels like a much more technical tennis game, and requires more knowledge of the actual sport to do well from the outset. Yet the game is also welcoming to new players who want to learn the mechanics through the minigames. Okay, we did it. After getting destroyed in the first game, we somehow clawed it back from Pierline, and now we're off to play the Russian, Kafelnikov, for our first title. The other thing worth noting is that smashing in this game feels great, and I feel like that's partly due to the fact that the game doesn't show you where the ball is going to land like in Mario Tennis. You feel like a real tennis player that's really going for a big play and smashing that ball down. Again, the animations here really shine through as impeccable for the time. Yes, suck on that. It feels good because you feel like the game didn't have to hold your hand to get there, kind of like the serving thing. So I guess both games have their rewarding features. The replays aren't as good in Virtua Tennis 2 though, and only do it half the time. And when they do happen, they make me feel a bit sick. We did it! We beat Kafelnikov. The title is ours, and I will take that 20,000. Thank you very fucking much. Pretty soon I'll be able to pay off my debts to my landlord. Shut! And here I'm just going to quickly cover the other minigames available to you from the start of the World Tour mode, because why the fuck not? Danger Flags is a straightforward minigame that requires you to avoid balls of shit while collecting flags to improve your footwork stats. There's Disc Shooter, which is just go, but you have to use tennis balls, and it's pretty fucking difficult in my opinion. There's Stomp Man, a game that sees you playing squash while stepping on cans. Who the fuck thought of this one? Alien Force, which is a cute Alien Invaders version of tennis. Prize Sniper, which acts as a cross between serve training and the fucking Price is Right showcase. And Pin Crasher, which is just tennis serve bowling. Finally, there is also a shop for you to spend your hard-earned tournament cash on new rackets, apparel, etc. Yeah, because we love that etc. Stages and partners. 10,000? That's awfully high. Wait, term of contract 2 months. Oh boy, the things I'm going to do to you for 2 months, lad. You're going to be my bitch, Pierline. Let's see how cool, calm, collected you are in 2 months, you whore. In conclusion, this World Tour mode could be a fun grind for tennis game fans, but to the average player, the constant minigames may be nothing more than an arcadey time waster. That said, this game reignited my interest in tennis games all those years ago, and from there I picked up and played Virtua Tennis 3 and Virtua Tennis 2009, both on PlayStation 3. These games were much the same, but I'm a complete whore for an arcade-style tennis. There's just something about it that has me coming back frequently, and with these newer virtual tennis games adding more to the career mode formula established in the second game, I would go on to thoroughly enjoy them. So there you have it, there's the video. I hope you enjoyed it, looking at my 2 favourite tennis games. Both of these games get a retro grade of B for bloody brilliant. Fuck off, fly. Hello everybody, my name's Matt and welcome to the Retronomicon. Today's topic: Gex, Enter the Gecko on Game Boy Color. Game Boy Color? Game Boy Color. They made a version for the Game Boy Color. The fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Why does it smell? Gex was originally developed for the PlayStation 1 and N64 by Crystal Dynamics, the same company that would go on to develop some mediocre titles, including some mid to late entries in the Tomb Raider series, and eventually go on to develop the recent reboot of the series after being acquired by Square Enix. Many gamers will remember Gex Enter the Gecko, or Gex 3D, as a solid 3D platformer that, on average, succeeded in a genre that was in abundance at the time, and in which many developers were struggling to transition to. There is no doubt that Gex as a game, and as a late 90s gaming mascot, was outshined by many other successful platformers with 3D visuals on the PlayStation 1 and N64, such as Crash Bandicoot, Mario, Spyro the Dragon, and Lara Croft. Have you played the original Tomb Raider? Ah, fuck me. That's a video for another day. Anyway, the medium success of the original 3D version was shat all over by David A. Palmer Productions. Seriously, who the fuck are these guys? Anyway, they attempted to develop a 2D port for the Game Boy Color. In my opinion, the developers stood there and took a giant ass-searing dump on what little achievement was left of the original design. Gex Enter the Gecko worked in 3D, but doesn't here. With today's video, let's take a more direct, hands-on approach with the game. No gloves. That's cheating.
Oh, God, the smell. I'm sorry, guys. Let's play it.
Okay, let's pretend we're playing this shit for the first time. Before I start, big shout out to the Game Boy Player accessory for the GameCube. I didn't get one of these until fairly recently, and I think it's just fantastic with the customizable borders and stuff. Now, check this fucking shit out. Firstly, this music has to be some of the worst I've ever heard on the system. Remember the jolly, memorable music of the Game Boy Tennis I played for you last time? Now listen to this nightmare. I firmly believe that this is the soundtrack to the fucking apocalypse. Satan has this shit blasting from his iPod as the world is consumed by raining hellfire. Too complex a metaphor? Then it's simply audible fecal matter. In a way, I appreciate what the composers were trying to do, but no more than I would appreciate my tone-deaf nephew's preschool recorder recital. That feeling you have when you just sat there, slowly clapping and saying, Yeah, you did it. You really nailed it, kid. I would like to say that they were simply limited by the hardware, but this game came out in 1998, years after the fantastic soundtracks featured on other classic Game Boy games, such as Super Mario Land, Super Mario Land 2, and DuckTales. So there is absolutely no excuse for this musical manure. Okay then, main menu. What? I'm pressing A. What? Am I dying? Oh, there we go. B worked. Weird. Okay. Not a great start, if I'm honest. Okay, entering the media dimension, I guess. I mean, what? Fucking shit. Oh god, I remember this now. It's all coming back to me. These vending machines. Oh, they're TVs. Never mind. Okay, so I've entered my first TV world, Toon TV, and from this screen it looks as though we're going to be having a similar time to Mario 64 with our little mission select screen. From my understanding, this is how the original worked as well, with that Mario 64 kind of puzzle world setup, so I can appreciate that they were trying to do a faithful port here. Oh, I see, it's showing me where to go. Cool. Okay, let's do this. The graphics are truly quite pleasant. I like Gex's sprite a lot. He's green. I like that. And the game is full of bright colours and charmingly cartoonish designs. I'm a lizard collecting carrots. This mushroom exploded releasing maths. And is that a flower with a mallet? Now, I probably should have mentioned earlier, but I never actually played the 3D original. So, as a kid, and even a bit now, I'm pretty clueless to what the hell's even going on in this game. But all I can tell you is that from some research and watching gameplay online, that while you were all playing with a decent 3D platformer, I was playing with a fucking turd. Anyway, I looked up things in this game, including this deranged murderous flower enemy on the Gex wiki, and it did indeed exist in the 3D original. And the carrots are the collectibles because we're in a Looney Tunes style world. I get it. Toon TV, I get it. Whew. Nearly made myself look really stupid there. Okay, so I'll just hop over this bad boy. Okay, A is making me attack, I guess. Okay, B is jump. B is jump? B is jump. How in the fuck could they let this slide? Anyway, we jump over him. Got some more carrots and whoa. Okay, we're going to carefully ride over to the other side of this gap on this floating turd. And we made it. More carrots, more carrots. Hey, whoa, did you see that? I did a higher jump. So, hitting B again after landing from a jump will make Gex bounce on his tail. Okay, this will be useful. Feels pretty good actually. Kinda reminds me of DuckTales. Fuck! Hard head area. Hard head area. Hard head. Hard head. Oh, what fresh hell is this? So shit just falls from the sky and crushes you at random? I'm dead? And I'm back at the beginning. No. I'm a big boy. Can't believe this shit. Okay. Fuck! Okay, let's avoid that hard hit area and go this way. Fuck! God damn it. Fuck these things. Seriously. A TV? What in the ever-loving fuck is that? Is it a Navi fairy from Zelda? Hey! A blue moth? I mean, what is it? Okay, let's try jumping up here from one turd to another. Fuck. Oh Christ, now I have to go back to this hard head area. Aha! Nearly got me, didn't you, game? But I'm learning. I'm adapting to your shit, game. Okay, now the carrots are cans. What? Oh my god. Oh my god. Ooh! Whoa. Okay, we made it. You know what? No, you know what? I think I'm gonna go and see where that other turd goes. Now the reason that happened is for one reason that I've been dying to talk about. This clusterfuck control scheme. I swear, other than the bounce being quite fun once you get the timing, these controls can suck a hard head. Sometimes you'll be lining up for a running jump, and the jump button will just decide not to work. And I think I know why. While the 3D version, like many 3D platformers, the amount you move the stick will decide your speed. Here, we just have a D-pad. So, you see, Gex doesn't have a button to run. He just starts to run after a second of holding either left or right on the directional pad, making a running jump off that last platform a right hassle, as I did in fact run off that platform several times off camera before getting it later. Anyway, back to the thrilling fucking gameplay. No. Seriously, why are they cans now? Holy crap, I can keep myself in a run by pressing Y, which would normally be the select button on a Game Boy Color. I really don't get why this is a thing. Also, does this idle animation even do anything? It also happens when I press select. Does eating flies replenish his energy? I mean, if I hold the button, he has a fucking fit, for fuck's sake. Whoa, okay. So the mushroom apparently exists on a greater plane of reality for some reason. Impeccable game design here. You know what? I'm not really sure how much more of this I can take. I mean, the soundtrack just makes it the worst. And I know that I could just mute it for myself with the capture, but that's some pussy shit right there. Join me in part 2 as we continue to suffer through some of this immaculate level design. Fuck! Hello everybody and welcome back to the Retronomicon. Today's topic is the same as last time, okay? I'm not done talking about this shitty game from my childhood, so let's not waste any time and let's get waist deep in this waste. So last time on the show we covered the gruesome graphics, the silly piss in your ears soundtrack, and the clusterfuck controls with its maddening mechanics. But dear friends, we have only scratched the surface of a very large, foul-smelling scratch and sniff panel. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the other levels of the game and see if there aren't more dried up crusty shits to discover, like sifting through your cat's shitty fucking litter box. Now since last time I actually learned that I have access to another level from the hub world, so I thought this would be a great opportunity at the start of this second video to actually achieve something in this game and redeem myself as a gamer. So I'm determined to get a remote in this other level. Also, for your convenience, for the sake of pacing in this video, I'm going to be using the power of montage to get there. Cue the shitty music. Darkness, afraid to step into the light. Some people need. I'll be ready. Oh my god. I did it. I adjusted to this game's crap factor and I fucking did it. We got a remote. Excellent. Now let's see. Okay, for some reason I got 2 remotes, but I'm not going to complain. Finally, we can see some kind of status screen that shows our progress through the levels. Excellent. So according to this screen, with the 2 I have so far, to complete this game I only need... carry the one. 58 more. You know what? I'm done. I'm done trying to play this shitty game for real. And oh Christ, look at this password screen. The length of this game is dumbfounding, let alone the preposterous password entry. Thank God for the internet, because after noticing that this game had a password option on the home screen, I knew there had to be a master password available from a source online. So I found it. I entered that password without delay, and now I have access to every level from the hub world. Thank fuck for that. So with there being so many levels, more than I anticipated, I won't be doing a systematic review of each level like I planned. Otherwise I'll still be reviewing this game when I'm 60. So instead I'm going to make passing comments and judgments on each world, kind of like a drive-by shooting. Except this game actually deserves to die in a gutter. So with this video I may comment on in no particular order. The layout, what bullshit obstacles we can find in the levels, what works, and more importantly, what sucks shit through a rubber tube. The enemies, what ugly, nonsensical creatures we find lurking in the levels, how they work and how they want to make you suck shit through a rubber tube. And finally, the objectives, what asinine tasks we can complete to further our quest. Tasks including, but not limited to, sucking shit through a rubber tube. Oh, you know what? No. Now there's only so many times I can make shit jokes about this game, so I better stop now. And save some for later. Each level is part of a respective theme, again, in a somewhat similar vein to Mario 64, with its multiple levels of ice for example. And so as these themed worlds contain much of the same elements, I'll be taking a look at each theme as a whole. Also, keep in mind, again, that I am by no means familiar with the original Gex Enter the Gecko, as I covered in my last video. So I'm just going to take these level names at face value. In the Toon TV theme, we have Out of Tune and Fine Tuning. Very clever. Toon TV is mostly themed using wacky Looney Tunes style designs, hence the carrots and falling anvils, but what cartoon has murderous flowers, sharks, giant bouncy emojis, sentient bear traps, and angry jumping cactuses? Cacti. I mean, fuck, they could have certainly tried a bit harder with this one. A giant bee, of course, from that famous Looney Tune. The Bee Movie. We find pretty much exactly the same bullshit in each level, variations of the same enemies, but the second level adds bouncing fucking dominoes in the mix. Again, what is this supposed to be a reference to? There's more hardhead areas and the same tedious running around platforming with no clue where you're going. See, this is part of the problem with the game. It's trying to be broad and open with its levels, but this is a 2D platformer with nothing but a small clue to guide you. If this game were 3D, you'd be able to see around the world like in Mario 64. You'd be able to pick out points of interest. But in 2D, you're just running around like a fucking lunatic all the time, praying to Christ that this time you won't get killed by some random fucking bullshit. Scream TV consists of 3 levels: Smellraiser, Frankenstein Feld, and Poltergeist. Again, very clever game developers, very fucking clever. Fucking idiots. And these levels are, unbelievably, much the same stupidity. Moving platforms that fuck with you, a themed collectible, in this case skulls, and stupid obstacles and enemies that behave exactly the same as in previous levels. The mallet flowers are now suits of armor, the smiling faces are now demonic looking pumpkins. That sort of shit. It was in these levels I first discovered that Gex can crawl on certain walls, except when he does, he looks like he's been run over several times. Believe me, boy, if I could, I fucking would. Oh, I should also mention that these moth things that we covered last time are power-ups that require you to press select so that Gex eats them for a power-up. So, I was half right. Blue flies fully replenish your health, while the other coloured moths around the levels do a variety of other things. But why the extra step? I kinda get that they wanted you to be able to save the power-up for later, but it seems to either disappear once I'm hit, or disappear after an allotted time, so why? Just give me the damn thing! Now, I know that that last part wasn't exactly level specific, but structure's kind of gone out the window on this whole thing, so I'm going to move swiftly on to the next world anyway, because I'm losing the fucking plot over here. In Kung Fu Theatre we have Mao Zedong and Samurai Night Fever. These names are starting to get painful now. These levels are, again, the same meandering madness of jump here, run jump here, go there, the same rigmarole we're used to. But these stages have for me one of my biggest gripes. These vases that Gex can break to reveal collectibles, why in the holy mother of fuck does it take so fucking long? In fact, that's one of my biggest complaints with this game overall. There is so much waiting and stopping around every turn. Wait for this moving platform, stop and wait for the enemies and their stupid fucking move cycle. Keep stopping and starting to avoid randomly falling shit. Anyway, so again, enemies are unimaginative, generic, and like almost every other enemy in the game, dies from one hit. Oh shit, is that a brown coloured ninja? Oh my god, it's Poop Ninja! I mean, for Christ's sake, how hard would it have been to make him black? You know, the colour you expect a fucking ninja to be. And why, oh why, are yin-yang blocks on the floor making me jump higher? I hate this game. I hate this game. I really, really do. The Circuit Central is a technology-themed world that has the levels www.com.com and Honey, I Shrunk the Gecko. Fuck me, you can tell someone was happy with themselves, can't you? I'm sure you can see the pattern forming here. The biggest difference I found with these levels is that there are more wall climbing segments, conveyor platforms, stuff like that, which honestly is actually a refreshing change from the same old running around of previous levels. You'll also notice that the music is actually starting to get a little better as well. Who makes an adventure platformer where the worst music is on the main menu and hub world? When playing the game for this video, I found myself extremely eager to get to a level other than Toon fucking TV, just to escape the unbearable soundtrack. Anyway, other than the small differences I mentioned, it's the same shit. The objectives across all these levels are also very similar, with most levels having an objective that requires you to break open a certain amount of hidden items. They operate similarly to the red coins from Mario 64, I guess, or reaching the highest point in a level and fighting some kind of mini-boss. There aren't many of these here though, because, well, that would give the game a redeeming feature, and we know there aren't any of those. The Prehistory channel has a... The Prehistory channel has a theme that speaks for itself and features Pangaea 90210 and this old cave. I mean, these puns are lost on me if I'm honest. Here we have probably the best music in the game and it still fucking sucks. So you're collecting bones, I guess. Maybe pork chops, giant dragonflies instead of bees, some weird lava spitting thing that looks like a strawberry, and once again, running around like a lunatic with no idea where to go. To be honest, I gave up trying to play these levels very quickly. And that's basically it. But there are a few extras. Christ, let's wrap this up quickly. Let's wrap this up quickly. I cannot. There's Resolopolis, I can't even say it, which has the level No Weddings and a Funeral. And the final level was simply called Channel Z, the final boss level. Honestly, I find it funny that they would put in all that astounding effort with the names, just to end with the name Channel Z. Should have called it Channel Y. As in, why? Why have you done this to yourself? This must have taken you fucking hours to get here. There are also bonus and secret levels, with the majority of them requiring you to run around in circles for several minutes picking up shit off the floor. And these all have goofy fucking names as well. There's Thursday the 12th. What? Lava Dabba Doo, Lizard in a China Shop. They're not even fucking trying with that one. Texas Chainsaw Manicure, okay, this one got me. Chips and Dips, Bugged Out, and Mazed and Confused. All hilarious to someone somewhere, presumably. Now, I decided to look up online a list of levels just to make sure I wasn't missing any. And boy am I glad I did, because some of these other level names from the other versions of the game are absolutely fucking hysterical. There's The Umpire Strikes Out, Pain in the Asteroids, In Drag, Net, The Spy Who Loved Himself, I Got the Reruns, and Trouble in Uranus. These would have been better names for this version though. I mean, Trouble in Uranus? This game is literally being shat out by my troubled anus. To summarise, this game is a joke. I mean, I just hate it so much. The graphics are uninspired, the design is lazy, the levels are tedious, and the soundtrack is a sickening foul mess. Needless to say, this game gets a retrograde of F for fuck this foul-smelling fecal fuck. Let's just get rid of this. Thank you for watching. My name is Matt, this has been the Retronomicon. Where's that fucking fly again? Subscribe! Let's just get rid of this. Why? Why? Why are you doing this to me? Purge my video game collection? Good fucking idea!
No.
Hello everybody, my name's Matt and welcome back to the Retronomicon. Today's topic, breasts. I mean Lara Croft. I mean Tomb Raider. That's the one. Yes, the massively influential heroine of gaming was often defined by her polygonal assets, but luckily the series certainly matured with the Square Enix published reboot of the series. But back in the 90s, despite her sexualized status, she was a true icon of forward thinking in gaming and popular culture in general. She became a big player in the game industry's transition to 3 dimensions, and for a lot of people in those early days was a new paradigm in adventure platforming. These days, everyone and their nan knows who Lara Croft is. She's world famous, and her adventures spawned a literal fuck ton of sequels, spin-offs, as well as other wider media such as books, comics and films, with Lara being famously played by Angelina Jolie in those god-awful adaptations from the early 2000s, and again by Alicia Vikander in 2018. Never saw this one. I'm sure it's fine. Today's video is going to examine her very humble beginnings on the PlayStation 1, the original Tomb Raider, released in 1996, and developed by the original team at Core Design, as in Core, look at them tig bitties. My first exposure to Miss Croft was way back when I was about 7 years old. Now, maybe it's because I lacked the attention span at that ripe young age, or because I've always had the brain of a sodden towel, but this game was a struggle for me. It was frustrating. I wanted to progress. I wanted to learn more of the game's secrets and solve the puzzles, but fuck me, these graphics. Even back then when this is all we knew of 3D environments, I couldn't tell what was simply decoration and what was emerging out the fucking walls at me. I revisited the PlayStation version of this game about 2 years ago, and I often revisit the same save file, slowly progressing each time through the giant labyrinth-sized levels. So as well as doing an overall review in this video, to honour the 25th anniversary of the series, I will be doing a second part to this video where I'll be beating the final levels of the game and completing it once and for all. Now, visually, the game may have aged as gracefully as a 75-year-old coal miner on crack, yet even as an adult in 2021, I can certainly see the appeal that this game would have had on mature audiences back then. Patience and planning are key to success in this game. Doing something as simple as jumping from one ledge to a fucking other was a whole process that required intimate knowledge of the controls and mechanics. Because, well, one wrong move, and Lara's fragile polygonal body is broken, bloodied, impaled, crushed, mangled, torn apart by rabid animals, drowned, or cast into a fiery lake of the 7th layer of hell by freakish fucking demons. Part 1. How to play. With Lara's help, we're going to start this video with a rundown of the controls.
No.
Yes, you are, Lara. You're going to help me, you fucking bitch. Okay, so first off, Lara has terrible interior design taste, with the horrible floral carpeting and the shit-stained walls. Oh, and I guess that's supposed to be books. I guess. And a bucket just plonked there in the middle of the room. Graphics aside, I hate this room.
Okay, let's do some tumbling. Press the jump button.
So square is the jump button.
Now press it again and quickly press one of the directions and I'll jump that way.
And pressing a direction on the D-pad while Lara is squatting for said jump makes her jump in that direction. Seems simple enough. Anyone familiar with the original games will know you don't have the same fluidity of movement like in games nowadays, so your jumps in this game have a set distance and a whole animation for Lara to do.
Ah, the main hall. Sorry about the crates.
No need to apologise, Lara. I mean, they're conveniently here for you to make your next point. Fancy that. So let's just get on with it.
Run up to a crate and while still pressing forward, press action and I'll vault up onto it.
We quickly went from apologising for the boxes being there before giving your guests instructions on how to safely jump on them. Weird. But yeah, you can do that. Although Lara does seem to have a bit of a whimsical attitude to health and safety.
I don't actually run everywhere. When I want to be careful, I walk.
I stand corrected.
Hold down the walk button and walk to the white line.
Lara can walk to ledges so as not to fall off them by holding R1. From there, jump forwards holding X while in the air to grab onto ledges. You'll be doing this a hell of a lot, so it's good they put in this practice mode. The other complicated part is getting a run up.
Tap backwards to give me a run up. Press forward and almost immediately press and jump until the last minute.
Remember the steps to the process, you'll be fine. Walk to edge. Okay. Stop. Okay. Tap down once on the D-pad to get some distance. Okay. Now hold up. Okay. Remember to press and hold square immediately. Okay. Hold X in the air. Okay. Grab ledge. You have to do this a lot, yet it's more complicated than fucking brain surgery. The more technical stuff includes shimmying along ledges when hanging, yeah, that's technical, as well as dropping backwards off ledges to grab their edges.
As well as dropping backwards off ledges to grab their edges.
What this incompetent fuckwit over here doesn't teach you is that you can also handstand from ledges and swan dive your jumps by pressing the walk button at the same time as the other buttons. That's R1. The handstand from the ledge and the swan dive are basically useless though. They're really just for show, although I must say I find these animations really cool for the PlayStation 1. Actually, her not teaching you that has a certain charm to it, as if the game intentionally leaves room for you to experiment and discover new ways to move her. Something which doesn't happen too often in mainstream games today, which, as most gamers know, like to shove a bunch of tutorials down your fucking throat. Better yet, this whole tutorial stage in Lara's house is completely optional, so I respect the game respecting my intelligence.
So I respect the game for respecting my intelligence.
Lara also leaves out that you can press the circle button to do a quick 180-degree turn, and will allow you to avoid being surrounded by enemies. This tutorial sequence ends with a quick swim in the pool. My god, she really does like to splash the cash, doesn't she? Good news is this isn't technical. This is hold square to swim, but, well, at least something is simple.
Right. Now I'd better take off these wet clothes.
Oh, come the fuck on, guys, really? The game hasn't even fucking started and you're getting weird with it. Wait, that's it? She's not going to teach you how to shoot stuff? Fine, I'll do it. Unbelievable, this rich cow. So you could press triangle to draw your weapon, and then X to shoot shit. How do you aim, you ask? You don't. Instead, the developers opted for an auto-aim feature that sucks balls. Part 2! The fucking game! So from this opening cinematic, we see some kind of alien artifact fall from the sky. At a hotel, Lara is visited by annoying southern fuck over here Larson.
Creator of all things bright and beautiful.
But he's just a representative of Natla, some mysterious businesswoman that apparently likes to Scrooge McDuck it with her cash on camera. I'm sorry, Lara, but this bitch is immediately untrustworthy. Whatever happens, it's your own damn fault. Anyway, Lara is told by Natla to recover a piece of the Scion that fell. That's what it's called. It's called a Scion. I can't even say it. And we catch up with Lara making her way to a desolate cave in the snowy mountains of Peru. Led by what appears to be a Peruvian native that says nothing. Maybe there's a reason he's forgettable. My god, Lara, are you not cold? All you have is this ridiculously thin-looking poncho in this weather? She's just wearing her usual togs underneath. Fucking lunatic. Anyway, so some wolves show up and just like that, Lara's already removed an item of clothing. She must be fucking freezing, Jesus Christ. So Lara gets a sudden unquenchable bloodlust for killing these wolves and manages to finish off the native accompanying her. When she gets started playing the game, you notice the game's blocky presentation of its environments, but most of the time, I think this has a certain nostalgic charm to it. I mean, this was still far and away one of the more competent executions of 3D space for the time, except for, this shit. What game? What's blocking me? Oh, for fuck, off to a good start as usual. But while the graphics are certainly lacking by today's standards, they aren't too difficult to adjust to. Except for, when Lara starts tripping balls to the fucking walls. So pretty soon you find yourself shooting your own wolves, and it's kind of fun, I guess. The game focuses not on your ability to shoot necessarily, but on your ability to keep moving and avoiding being hit. So doing cool jumps around the room as you shoot feels pretty nice. But while all the shooting is done for you, the game locks you onto enemies automatically and then you just keep firing with the X button. The only real thing you have to worry about later on is ammo conservation of your more powerful weapons, such as shotgun, magnums and Uzi. These weapons are incredibly useful for dealing with some of the other enemies in the game, some of which will overwhelm Lara in large numbers and kill her very quickly. To change your weapon and use smaller large medipacks to replenish your health, you need to press select to open the menu and select an item. Some might criticise this, but I actually found this to be quite thrilling, as you often go to the menu to heal and swap weapons whilst in the fray. So what you get is a certain tension while you're in the menu. I often found myself breathing deeply before unpausing again and deciding the best way to react to the situation I'm in. As well as the aforementioned wolves, there are a variety of other animals and monsters that you'll have to shoot. To name just a few, there's bats, bears, lions, gorillas, velociraptors, and T-Rexes, some douchebag on a skateboard, a cowboy, and a bald guy? You thought I was kidding. No, these characters, for want of a better term, are mercenaries for Natla, who betrays you and tries to take the Scion piece for her own evil plan. Well, who would have thunked it? Not this bitch, clearly. Anyway, in stark contrast to this backward ass shit, towards the end of the game the enemies get quite horrifying, as you're chased after by these inside out looking things that hatch out of pods on the walls, and some of them even fly. Fucking horrifying. Fucking burn it! Burn it with fire! I guess they're supposed to be the aliens created by Natla from the alien artifact or something. I don't know, man. You spend so long navigating all these huge levels that you've forgotten what little story exists between them. Also, some may disagree, but I like the absence of music, except for the dramatic stings when you enter certain rooms, usually a sound that indicates an intricate puzzle, dangerous enemy, or finding a secret. Otherwise, the complete absence of music lends itself to the feeling of isolation and makes the atmosphere tense, as if you were really raiding a desolate tomb. Some of the sound effects are questionable and sometimes incredibly grating, like when Lara runs on gravel ground and I feel like my eardrums are being sandpapered. But overall, the sound presentation was quite ahead of its time and is really atmospheric. Not to mention, of course, Lara's voice acting in-game.
No.
And pretty decent music when it does actually play. But then perhaps that's just my expectations being lowered after experiencing Gex. Also, some of these rooms in the levels are huge and take ages to navigate, so I wouldn't want some music loop irritating me as well. That said, you still often have to spend a long time running around in circles, figuring out which of the angular walls are scalable, finding all the pieces to a puzzle, and then having them all fit together. Like here, there are some walls that look like you can climb them, but often you can't. Also, it was here that I noticed that you have some awful frame rate issues, but what can I say? This was 1996, and these guys were really pushing this little console. Anyway, running around these levels get quite tedious, and with this being an early PlayStation game where you could only use the D-pad to move, you'll find yourself wearing out your thumb whilst getting frustrated at Lara's clunky movement. In fact, everything in this game takes a while, something you'll notice a lot more in the more complex puzzles, like moving boxes or stones to make platforms for yourself. Lara's pushing animation takes fucking forever, and only moves the thing a set distance. I often found myself sitting there saying, come on for fuck's sake, get the fuck on with it. This was by far the most frustrating part of the whole fucking game for me. So, overall, the game is as impressive as it is a pain in my ballsack, but we're not done yet. I can't give a game as legendary as Tomb Raider a fair retrograde until I've completed it, something which I've never done. Join me next time in the second part of this 2-part review, where I'll be completing the final levels of the game before handing down my final verdict. In the meantime, subscribe! And now, the thrilling conclusion. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Retronomicon. Today's topic, we're continuing to look at the origins of Lara Croft over here. So let's get this bitch a face mask and finish this thing. But before we get into the meat of this episode, let's recap. So last time I demonstrated the contemptible controls and how moving Lara feels like driving a fucking tank. I gave an overview of the game itself, how the game looks and plays, as well as briefly looking at the maddening plot and nonsensical characters. But I did only skim over the plot part, so we're going to start this episode with a more comprehensive breakdown of the story leading up to these final levels. Part 3. What's with this pissing plot? I mean, really? Now, first off, while I have been taking the mickey out of this game's cinematics and story so far, it is indeed pretty impressive for a game to have nearly 14 minutes of full motion video in 1996, and for those cinematics to be, well, cinematic. But while I do appreciate the effort that went into these, I'm still going to take the piss, because, well, I'm doing a fucking comedy show. So catching up with Lara in the Peruvian tomb we covered last time, after she recovers the artifact, she is confronted by that southern fuck what's-his-name and told that she has only recovered a piece of the whole artifact, and that Natla has in fact had a second treasure hunter, famous mustached Frenchman Pierre Dupois. God, that's fun to say in a French accent, isn't it? Pierre Dupois, Pierre du fromage. Anyway, in this confrontation, Lara takes out the white trash and leaves. Ugh, thank fuck for that. Hopefully I'll never have to hear that stupid voice again. So Lara breaks into Natla's office to find Pierre's whereabouts. Instead, she finds an ancient monk porn collection that makes Lara lose it a little bit, as she starts to hear voices. I shouldn't have watched the porn. The sexy porn reveals the locations of the other pieces of the Scion. Yes, it is in fact called a Scion, not a Scion. But I'm going to keep forgetting it and mispronouncing it anyway, so now it's a scone. So Lara quickly heads to the monastery in Greece to find the next piece. Once there, Lara catches up with Piss Lips du Pompon over here, and he's like, oui oui, and she's like,
no,
and then murders him for another piece of the scone. Who could blame her? Joining the two pieces causes Lara to have an aneurysm, followed by a vision that reveals the location of the last piece in an Egyptian tomb. Lara also learns some backstory that tells of 3 ancient rulers of Atlantis, with each of those rulers getting a piece of the scone. Delicious with a bit of jam. Where one of the ancient rulers of Atlantis attempted to use the power of the scone to create a breed of monsters. With me so far? In the lost city of Carmoon, southern fuck what's-his-name comes back before Lara finally recovers the third and final piece of that sweet, sweet scone. Fuck yeah. But before you can get a chance to enjoy it, you're ambushed by Natla and those henchmen we covered last time. Tony Hawk, John Wayne, and Morpheus. Lawrence Fishburne. They take both the scone and her weapons. My god, that face. So Lara turns into a fucking piranha and manages to escape by jumping into the water. She then catches up to Natla on her bike, where she does an incredible jump from her bike to Natla's boat. She then stows away on the boat, which takes her to a volcanic mine. In the mine, Lara battles through the team of mercenary celebrities and finds an underground Atlantean pyramid that's filled to the brim with those disgusting inside-out monsters that we saw last time. You can't blame them thinking they were aliens. I mean, fucking look at them. Jesus Christ. And so that's it, you're all caught up. This is where I'm up to. I'm on the final levels of the game inside the ancient pyramid. Time to finish this. Sidebar! So I've received a lot of messages from you lovely people out there, so I thought I'd just take a moment to address some of what you guys are saying. I've had a few of you comment on Lara's house tutorial level that was featured in the last episode, and many of you have mentioned the presence of the butler, the sad-looking, slightly horrifying old butler that follows Lara around with a tray of beverages. I can tell you that a lot of these comments stem from wondering why I made no mention of him. particularly because, for many, the most memorable part of his inclusion, and even the game itself, involved locking the daft old fucker in the freezer. Unfortunately, the answer is simple. He's not in this game. You can find the butler and updated Croft Mansion in the sequel, Tomb Raider 2. A game that appears to be far superior to the original generally, and not just because you can torture old people. In fact, the sequel solved many of the problems that I've had with this game. The environments are less angular, the game seems to run a lot smoother, and is generally a much more polished entry in the series, which is probably why it's remembered more fondly than the first, I suppose. Lara still controls a bit awkwardly, and while I have been complaining a lot about the D-pad tank controls, the precision required to jump and platform in these games makes digital control the better option overall. Part 4... Fuck it! So here we are, I'm actually doing this. I'm going to complete the original Tomb Raider on PlayStation. Man, my balls are already starting to ache. It bears reiterating that I will indeed be completing the PlayStation version. This is noteworthy, because while the PC version of this game allowed the player to save whenever they liked, progress through the PlayStation version could only be saved at sporadically placed save crystals. Yes, some of these save crystals are well placed for puzzles that require you to go down multiple paths, yet they are still so far and few between that you feel like the game is punishing you for not playing the PC version. The other annoying thing about these save crystals is that once you've used it to save, it disappears, never to return. One use only, so you need to be conservative with how you use them. Like I said, the crystals are often placed in rooms with multiple paths that you need to keep returning to, but that is really the only courtesy the developers give you. Thanks guys. Okay, let's do this. Equip Uzis. Die! Die, motherfuckers! So this first room is just a matter of flipping switches and killing stuff. I have to say, I feel like a badass. Lara, I've been too hard on you. You are a true, legendary, badass heroine. Oh, come on, Laura. The switch is right there. This fucking shit. The item is there, for fuck's sake. Come on, you daft bitch. Bend over and pick up the damn fucking item. When these things explode, they do damage to me, so I need to be Oh. Well, fuck. Okay, we got it this time. So we managed to progress to the next room, and whoa, okay. That's a lot of lava. Oh shit, one of these things. Die! Die! Oh, he's dead. Okay, gotta be careful here, as missing this jump will be, the bad thing. There we go, got it. Oh shit! Okay, back up. There we go. Okay, we're good. Oh, fuck me, another perilous jump. Here we go. Oh shit! Okay, shoot it! Oh. Well, fuck again. Okay, fine, so we do everything again, whatever. And this time we got him with some Uzi action. Haha! Fucking yes! Let's get... Nah, fuck, man. This shit's not cool. It's not cool, man. Okay, so we do everything again. And we're back where we were, finally. Let's not jump that way this time. Is that a ledge there? Oh. Okay, careful. Oh, yes, look at that. Another route. And there's a switch. And it opens the door. And there's a way back out where I started. And now I can just jump across the gap and run through the open door without having to fight the creature. And then we get a save point. Now this is good game design. The game rewarded me for exploration and problem solving. This situation tested my approach to the ledges and platforms, with one wrong move costing you your life, which is realistic, fun, and goddamn satisfying. I figure I spent a long time shitting on this game in the last episode, but I owed the game a bit more praise, and well, this is it. Now onto the bullshit! After some fairly straightforward platforming puzzles, such as jumping precariously between non-slanted tiles on a cliffside, and flicking a bunch more switches, we get another save. Okay, feeling good. Feeling like nothing can stop me now. Right, let's jump over this hole and... Oh. Whoops. Oh, fuck. That got me... Oh, man. That really pucked my arsehole. Oh. I felt that one in my ballsack. Anyway, I'm going to fast forward a few rooms here. There's a few more small puzzles and many death-defying jumps, but man, I do shit my pants every time. They're always right before save points as well, and you don't want to have to keep repeating the same shit. It gets on your bloody nerves. It's mostly the same. There's a few mix-ups here and there, but it's mostly jumps and switches. There are a lot of moments of trial and error here as well, which is why there isn't much point talking about them. Like here, it's really hard to react to this boulder, so you end up feeling like you just have to get caught in the first trap so you know what to expect. It's kinda lame. I also did keep fucking up jumps, and it's embarrassing, so we'll skip over that. So eventually I find myself in this room. We move a couple of blocks, my favourite fucking thing in this game, I fucking love it, and we have a door with two switches either side. I guess I'll pull the left one. Oh. Well, fuck me again, why don't you? Okay, let's try the other switch. Oh, cool. I'm not dead. How is this fair, sorry? This is a great example of what I was just saying. As far as I was aware, there was no way to tell which lever was the correct one. I even looked around again after this and found nothing to indicate which lever was the one I was supposed to pull. I could see no codes or messages on the walls, on the floor. I mean, This is terrible game design. But now I realise I could be wrong here, so please, if there are any Tomb Raider nerds watching that know of any clue that accounts for this shit, I'd really like to hear it, because the more time goes on, the more I'm losing my fucking patience with this game. But, would you believe it? The game redeems itself with the clever puzzle that many Tomb Raider veterans will remember. Bacon Lara. You can't shoot her or you die, you can't heal or it heals, as she is an exact copy of you that moves and shoots in a mirrored fashion. The mirror is lengthways across the room, so you have to figure out to open a trap door and then lead Bacon Lara into the hole by mirroring her movement, if that makes any sense. Either way, it was a clever puzzle. A few rooms of shooting shit later, I find the scone, fuck to the yes. Fucking delicious. And overcome by its deliciousness, Lara has a vision that reveals Natla to be the ancient Atlantean ruler that betrayed the others to make some freaky neo-humans. So I guess the lesson here is, don't be an idiot like Lara here. Don't trust dodgy bitches you meet online, because they might end up being an ancient demigod monster general. Anyway, Natla walks out so that Core Design can show off their boob craft, and she and Lara have a boob off before falling into a hole. Good stuff. But now we've got to fight some big boy at the start of the next level. Fuck me. How long is this fucking game? So you start the next level by fighting this decapitated Jack Skellington covered in shit. Pretty straightforward. Just shoot and pray. Fast forwarding again through some bullshit trial and error obstacles, you find the scone once more, but you're forced to defiantly shoot it and destroy it to progress. Which is a shame, really. Would have made a lovely cream tea. Which sets off a chain reaction that begins destroying the pyramid. That's right, now you have to deal with the rest of the level with the camera shaking. Oh, Jesus Christ, oh man. And the sequence that follows is some of the cruelest level design you'll see in the game, and you will die a lot. So for the sake of pacing and emphasise my point, here's a quick montage of my many deaths. Go! Eventually, after a perfect jump into this hole, I made it to this room. Fucking hell. Here we see Natla, who seems to have transformed into some kind of gargoyle freak show. We managed to slay Natla Battler, but before we can start climbing this room, she gets back up again and starts shooting you with a crusty little pistol that does hardly any damage. Okay. Was there really any need for this? Wouldn't it have made more sense that this be her first phase as opposed to the second? Fucking stupid. Anyway, after carefully jumping between a few more towers to the top of the pyramid, Lara escapes on Natla's conveniently unguarded yacht. I mean, where did everybody go? And sails away from the island as it completely explodes. Wouldn't this cause a gigantic, unescapable tsunami? Oh, no, we seem to be fine. Can't believe I said this game was realistic. Yes. What an ordeal. But there we go, I've done it. I've beaten the game, and it was very satisfying to beat, you know, despite all the bullshit I had to overcome at the end there. So there we go, 23 years on, and I've finally beaten the original Tomb Raider on PlayStation, may I add, with the added difficulty of limited saves. As for my retrograde, well, what can I give it other than a C+ for cleverly constructed crap. Plus. Because that's what it is. It's a tuxedo speckled in sweet-smelling vomit. It's a sugar-crusted shit sack, and I wouldn't have had it any other way, and I've loved playing it. You hear that? You hear that? The game's good. It doesn't deserve this. You can't make me bury this one. You can't make me bury this one. I'm sure the Retronomicon had a hand in what happened that day, but having me blow it up with my mind would be too unrealistic a fate for Tomb Raider. No. The game simply stopped working entirely on any of my PlayStation systems. Now, I'm sure you're asking yourself, why didn't I just buy another copy from eBay or something? But well, that shit would have cost me maybe £10, £20? That'd be crack money. So as a form of memorial, I buried it. The game wasn't amazing, but it didn't deserve this. It didn't deserve this. Actually, it's not that good. I'm not going to miss it that much anyways, but... Yeah, whatever. The game wasn't even that good. The game was stupid. What's with that ending?
Till next time. Subscribe!
Hello everybody and welcome back finally to another episode of the Retronomicon. Today's top pick. Can I help you? Me? I was sent by him. He wanted you to have these. Hey, thanks. I guess. Hey, I blew this shitty game up for sure. I don't remember the rest of these. You're welcome. Yeah, thanks, I guess. I mean, I suppose I never really did give this game a chance. I just sort of played it for 5 minutes and shelved it. Never really gave it the... The PlayStation 2. What a time it was to be alive at the turn of the century, amid fears of Y2K, suicide bombers and the second coming of rap to Jesus. Sony would release their groundbreaking system to an audience that was yearning for a gaming revolution. But the PS2 did much more than change the game industry. The console appeared to single-handedly revolutionise the home video market, as the console famously included one of those newfangled contraptions called a DVD player. Back then, no one had one of these things. They were too new, too expensive, and while DVDs were marketed for their highly superior digital video quality over the heavily standardised VHS tapes of yesteryear, public at the time were hesitant to embrace the new disc-based format. But the PS2 changed all that. The PS2 was the same or lower in cost as the average DVD player, but also doubled as a next-generation games console. That was backwards compatible with the original PlayStation, and could still play audio CDs like the PS1, but didn't have one of those cool audio visualizers like the PS1 had. Which is a shame. I loved that thing. And now that crack's kicking in. So apparently the Retronomicon has returned some terrible PS2 games from my childhood. I'd completely forgotten about these, which is why I guess I had no idea they were missing. I guess. These have to be some of the most obscure PS2 games that have ever been in my collection. At least 2 of these games, I'm sure, were not even mine to begin with. As I recall, one coming from a sibling and another from a cousin. What little I can remember from looking at these games cases is enough to make my stomach churn, and the thought of playing them, well, that sends a searing hot sting through my dick, but I'm into that, so let's play them. Before I can do that, I need to prepare my hardware. Now, I have a PS2 console right here that fortunately still works, as it's now pretty much the only way I can play hard copies of my PS2 games, as Sony is apparently allergic to backwards compatibility. Plus, they'd rather recharge you for the same games digitally on the PS4 and PS5. I mean, what the fuck, Sony? I fucking own these. I physically have them in my fucking hands. Let me play them, you fucking assholes. Also, after digging through my collection, I only seem to have a couple of third-party PS2 controllers. I have absolutely no idea what happened to the official ones I had. So I guess we'll be using this monstrosity. Fuck me, look at this thing. Looks like the steering wheel to the goddamn USS Enterprise.
Make it so! Do it!
Anyway, first up is Disney and Walden Media presents The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, the Wardrobe, the movie, the video game. I've never actually played this game, as it actually belongs to one of my siblings, but I'm going to start with a somewhat positive attitude here, because I like the Narnia universe. I'm not much of a fantasy guy, but I do have a soft spot for the books at least, as they were an important part of my childhood. Move aside, inspiring, spectacled wizard boy, and give me Lion Neeson and Wincy the Butthole Gremlin any day.
Give me your ass.
Wait, this cover is supposed to be like the film poster, right? I remember it. Does that mean he's... Yes, he's there. Oh, good lord, he's featured even more prominently on the back of the game case. Fucking hell. Along with Bullman over here, looks like he's seen some shit.
Let me see inside your butthole.
Have my son. Oh, Traveller's Tales. They made some pretty good collectathon games over the years. Maybe this is going to be pretty good, actually. So the game starts and we see some clips from the film, which I'm not sure if I'm allowed to show or not, but we have these transitions from full motion video to the in-game graphics. It looks a little awkward by today's standards, but I appreciate what they were going for. Anyway, so we're playing the events from the opening of the film, and the house is being bombed by those bloody Nazis. What are they like? And your mother, for some reason, has time to explain your goal. Find your siblings now, or you'll be worse than dead. You'll be grounded. So you run from room to room, punching your way through doors to save your siblings. And while you're at it, you can wail on furniture to find secret collectibles. I'm guessing these don't mean a huge amount, just needed for 100% completion. I hope. Peter, have you found your siblings yet? I'm on fire. Sorry, Mum, I know we're all about to die. I just gotta punch this table real quick. Peter, have you found your siblings yet? I'm dying in the hall. Oh lord, and look how Susan attacks. This is fucking hysterical. Other levels here at the start of the game involve interacting with certain objects to solve puzzles for collectibles, and using different character abilities to overcome obstacles and find more collectibles. Peter and Susan can destroy stuff with their big kid biceps, Lucy can go through small passages, and Edmund can climb things. I'm not sure why. Does he climb stuff often in the film? I don't recall, but the other thing with this is, why in the holy mother of fuck does it take so fucking long? A couple of levels in and you're killing wolves with sticks. Yeah, it's what you'd expect, just mashing square to do a basic combo. Although the game does broaden a bit, as I did see purchasable combo attacks after a couple of levels. You can also have the children team up in different ways to perform powerful attacks against enemies, and even overcome particular obstacles. Teaming up Lucy with Peter or Susan allows you to press square to missile Lucy along the ground through giant blocks of ice. Because that makes sense. If you team up Peter and Edmund, Peter swings Edmund around like a fucking ragdoll. At one point you have to use this ability to knock down a pillar. Jesus fucking Christ. He must be in fucking agony. This is not how you treat family. This is despicable. Although Edmund does end up betraying them, so maybe it was the developer's way of letting you punish him before the fact. Definitely feels good if you've seen the movie. Fucking prick. Guess it's all about context. So, all in all, the game is decent. It's not blow me away fantastic, but it's a damn sight better than other video game adaptations of movie properties, but also not as good as some other ones. It's not groundbreaking like GoldenEye 007 on N64, but it's not a pile of wank either like Peter Jackson's King Kong. Overall, this game gets a C for creative crock of shit. Next up is the weebiest thing you'll ever see on this internet show, Orphen. Scone of Sorcery. This has to be one of the most Japanese games I remember playing back then that wasn't Pokemon or Mystical Ninja. Oh man, that'd be a juicy video someday, wouldn't it? A game published by then slightly lesser known publishers Activision, the game was based in a Japanese light novel series called Sorcerer's Stabber Orphen. What a name. And apparently loosely follows the same lore. The story centres around a young man named Orphen and his friends. Honestly, they're all a bunch of douchebags.
Oh, Orphen!
What now?
Monsters! Snakes! Big, flying snakes!
What?
Yeah, big ones! They're everywhere! Hurry! Come on, let's get off the ship!
The game begins with Orphen being convinced by this little fucker to travel to Arganrama, Bananarama, whatever, to make some easy money. The ship is soon attacked by a giant monster, and in this opening segment you're eased into how to play. But I'm pretty sure it intends you to do the battle training from the main menu. It's extremely painful though, so if you could just read up on it or something to get you through, whatever, it's fucking bullshit. Anyway, so you have your standard and special attacks that plow in a similar vein to the not quite turn-based strategy of Final Fantasy. And what I mean by that is that as if the enemy's on a timer for their next action. Orphen and the gang aren't limited by an action time or anything, but every attack in their arsenal must be used carefully and timed properly, because they take fucking forever to use. You have a standard projectile attack when you press triangle, which you can charge to fire multiple projectiles, a sword attack when you press X, which can also be charged to increase the range of the sword. Then you also have the shield when you press square, and a special elemental attack when you press circle, which can also be charged to increase the area of effect. You have to time the shield somewhat correctly, I guess, to block incoming attacks, something easier said than done, and like I said, everything takes a while to appear, and then it takes a while before you can then begin your next action. After this initial tutorial boss fight against this giant crab, you have what might be the most boring boss fight I've ever seen in a fucking video game. And I can remember this. I remember being blown away by how cinematic it was. It felt like you were playing a film. But ultimately, this fight reduces the battle system down to what it truly is. A glorified QuickTime event, except without on-screen prompts, and figuring out the pattern yourself. This boss was just block, then elemental attack, which I can't charge by the way, because you don't have the time before you have to get your shield back up to block his next attack. So that's it. That was the fight. Circle, square, wait for him to be vulnerable again, circle, square, wait for him to be vulnerable again, circle, square. Yes, it does look impressive for the time, and you can definitely tell it was a launch title with how it's trying to push the graphical aspect, but the fight was tedious, stupid, it put me to sleep, which is not what you want a fucking boss to do. Stupid game. Anyway, to fill you in on some more of the plot, the gang and unlikable tearaways become stranded on Chaos Island. Original fucking name. Fucking brilliant. After the ship is destroyed by the giant monster, so basically you beat the boss but achieve nothing, but on said island they discover a mystical time-travelling
artifact which becomes the focus of the game's story, along with escaping the island. I remember a lot of this game playing it as a kid, but none of those memories are particularly nice. I remembered my father being thoroughly frustrated with this game, along with me and my older brother, with a lot of that frustration stemming from running around in bloody circles trying to figure out what the fuck to do next. Yeah, it's one of those kind of games. Nothing is made particularly clear to you, and battling things should be the fun part of exploring this world, but it ends up being the most tedious, clunky and frustrating part. Graphically, for a PS2 launch title, the graphics are pretty decent, just haven't aged particularly well. The localization and English voice acting could be better, but for the most part, it's adequate. And the sound design and music aren't too bad either. In fact, dare I say, I actually really like these battle sound effects and boss music. Just a shame that it's ruined by this fucking nag. My biggest gripe are the forgettable characters that I have zero investment in. Orphen, the character who, let's be honest, we should be most interested in, he's all over the fucking artwork of the fucking front of the goddamn games case, is a sarcastic prick that always sounds like he's at his wit's fucking end.
There's nothing we can do. Shut up already. There's more important things to worry about. Enough! Let's just get to the deck.
He's always shouting like an angry parent.
Let's go. Knock it off. Let's go. Let's get going. Hey, you two! What the hell's going on here? Hey, you thieving scoundrels! This is no time to be stealing! Oh, knock it off, you two! We have to hurry! Damn! What the hell's going on around here?
Or just talking to everybody like a sarky cunt.
Enough! We've got to get out! I don't want to die here with you guys. Who knows? I'm hoping we'll live to find out. Okay, calm down. I don't really know, but I intend to find out. Orphen, nice to meet you. Well, looks like this ship is going down. Whatever, she's going to need more protection than you can provide, so you two, come with me.
And it pisses me off, not to mention his constant repetition of phrases when casting spells. It gets on your bloody nerves! Two friends that join you for the most part of the game are some of the most forgettable characters I've ever seen as well. I mean, nothing about their design is unique or memorable. Do they both have to be blonde? I guess if this was based off a pre-existing franchise, then they would want to stay true to the source material. But for Western kids back when this was released, this game would have been forgotten quicker than a wet dream. This game sucks, but to be fair, it's not the worst game ever made. There's definitely games worse. With that said, it gets a D for deranged disaster designed by fucking dickheads. Next is the game that I thought I already blew up, thanks to the Retronomicon. I mean that genuinely, because while I don't remember much of it, I can't shake the feeling that this game is going to suck balls. The game is called Extermination, a survival horror action game that is yet another release title for the PS2. I'm starting to see a pattern here. This is definitely a game that I remember playing for about 5 or 10 minutes as a kid and just losing interest immediately, telling myself, this game is shit. But I'm older now, I'm wiser, so let's give this game the benefit of the doubt and actually give it a good hearty try. Don't recognise the developers, which is never a good sign, but no, I'm keeping positive. But the game starts and we have some of the cinematics that are borderline embarrassing. I'm used to seeing games, especially release titles, having out-of-sync dialogue, usually because these games have been rushed from Japan to Western audiences or something, so the localization was half-assed to get the game released for Christmas or whatever. But fuck me, I can't tell if this is bad voice acting, poor localization, or the alien voice actors struggling to break their native fucking tongue. But the bad voice acting is nonetheless fucking hilarious.
Don't let your guard down. Show the world what Marines are made of.
And this guy, good lord, this guy, I thought I was never going to play the game. He just goes on.
I can't stop you from worrying about the past. And everybody does it sometimes. But just remember one thing.
And on.
Be strong. You know? Keep focused.
And on.
Don't let your mind become clouded. Something I learned on the streets. With life comes pain. You gotta deal with it.
Look, Roger, I know you're right.
These lines are so poorly delivered they make my lines look like the 10 fucking commandments.
Hey, remember? You, me, and Andrew made these out of shrapnel after that mission in China. You remember the R&R in Bangkok? Huh?
Anyway, so the generic plot revolves around your character, Dennis something.
Impossible!
He's a member of an elite squad sent in to answer a distress call from a top-secret research facility, only to find it in the middle of a viral outbreak that mutates people. If that plot summary didn't convince you this is another Resident Evil clone with a few differences, the gameplay certainly will. So here we go. Interestingly, the way you aim and shoot works akin to games like Resident Evil 4, for example. Yet for the most part, follows the original Resi formula. Your inventory works most the same way, with a menu that allows you to select and combine items, including weapons and puzzle objects, that sort of thing. The more interesting feature is the weapon attachment screen. I never found any other attachments while briefly playing this game, but I like the idea. You even have limited saves, like the Resident Evil ink ribbons, using a certain amount of energy from your battery reserve to save instead. You also appear to need your battery to overcome certain obstacles, so it seems that many of the survival aspects revolve around how you conserve and use your battery. I'm guessing. Perhaps most importantly is that the camera doesn't do the whole fixed camera angle, pre-rendered graphics thing that early Resident Evil games are famous for, so that's good. Despite the potential here, I'm not going to lie to you, I quickly gave up on this game. Everything about this game feels like it hasn't aged well, and it's one of those games that's left me running around frustrated. And while I said earlier that aiming and shooting in the game felt like Resident Evil 4 in principle, it is in actuality as fucked can be. It's a wizard's sleeve of piss and shit that has no business ever existing. I mean, look at this shit. I was about ready to put the game down when I saw this animation, and my troubles just melted away. This is the best thing I've ever seen in the game. Look at him. What kind of animation is this? It's halfway between the limbo and taking a shit. Otherwise, I like the speed you move, how you interact with the environment, like jumping gaps and climbing ledges. Mostly. But again, with my biggest peeve, why does climbing a ladder take so fucking long? Just another one of those games that grinds the gameplay down to a halt. Speaking of which...
I've gotta jump that gap, huh?
You don't say! Maybe I'll jump the fucking hole! I don't need an unskippable cutscene to tell me what I already know. Stupid game! And that's the other thing. I know I'm just at the start of the game, but this place just feels empty, and the only enemy that I fought for the hour and a half that I played this game were these dumb worm things. Yet the music is at a constant peak of tension, like something is about to happen. But it never does. Although that's not entirely true. Something eventually does happen to Roger, your buddy that talked too much at the start. He mutates into some cool looking tentacle monster thing. Wow, that thing actually looks pretty awesome. But you don't get to shoot him. You just get to watch a cinematic of him being shot by someone else. Great. Can I play the game, please? 90% of the gameplay footage I have is exactly like this. Just running from room to room, picking up the occasional item, or lore entry, like I give a fuck, getting from point A to point B so I can progress the stupid story. I'm sorry, but I can't play this one anymore. I got to this point and I just didn't have the energy to continue. I'm sure it's got some good bits as you get into it, maybe, but between the awkward cinematics and less than mind-blowing gameplay, the game is just a bore. I played the game for an hour and a half here, and honestly, this was the most entertaining thing to happen.
I knew there was a reason I blew this game up in the first place. This game gets a retrograde of E for embarrassing explosive excrement.
And lastly is another release type for the PS2 system. Easy targets, eh? This is a game that I actually have nostalgic memories for. Fantavision. Although it sounds like some kind of soft drink that you pour into your retinas, Fantavision is actually a fairly pleasing to look at puzzle game that involves using a cursor to select coloured fireworks and detonate them, with the bigger chains of similar colours and styles bagging you more points. It gets a little bit more complex when you look into the rules, but you don't need to know that much on a surface level to have fun with this game. You can use the multicoloured fireworks to link different coloured fireworks together for bigger chains. There are daisy fireworks as well, that when detonated as part of a chain can allow you to set off some chain reactions with other fireworks. And well, it's pretty fun, even though you could just spam the control stick in a circle and mash X, which I did fairly often as a kid. There's something quite satisfying about getting the bigger chains by thinking through the best way to connect the approaching fireworks though, and then detonating to see that lovely fire. Now, while I said this was a game, and like I just described it certainly is, it is really more of a PS2 tech demo, in that the game really doesn't offer a huge amount of content. There are 8 stages to be completed in single player, both on easy and hard difficulties, which is something, but only a single stage that can be played with a friend on split screen mode. And well, that's about it. Clearly this game's function at the start of the PS2's lifespan was to show off the pretty graphics that the system could achieve. The complex, moving backgrounds are thoroughly impressive, yes, yet all that movement while you're trying to focus on the foreground is bound to cause some sickness to players, like myself in fact, as I had to stop playing this after a while for fear of a pounding headache. Although this aspect is in itself pointless to the game and how it plays, as the background is not much more than a glorified roller coaster through various locations. I can certainly appreciate that these graphics would have been amazing in 2000. Indeed, my kid brain practically exploded when looking at these images for the first time. This was the future of gaming. It was exciting and it looked absolutely stunning. Unfortunately, the same can't really be said for the pre and post game cinematics. for want of a better word, which featured some incredibly unsettling images of a creepy girl laughing on a box, a postman. Fairly normal, but there's something about these that don't really sit right with me. Everything is a bit off colour and awkward. The music's good though. There's a kid who lives on the moon. There's a kid that lives on the moon, and he's like in a futuristic little house thing, and he's answering a phone, and she's telling him to play Fantavision. There's something unsettling about these. I don't know where to begin with my experience of these. I found them as fascinating as they were deeply creepy and upsetting, making me immediately 180 on the previous notion of the future of gaming. Is this what I'm to expect? Why does the future of gaming mean everything has to be white like a psychiatric hospital? Look at this kid, good lord, and he's supposed to be living in space? Certainly looks like he's from another planet. I feel crazy just looking at these. Honestly, I feel like I'm losing my freaking mind. Yeah, laugh it up, kid, because you've got nothing else going for you. There is nothing in this room. No soul, no substance. I hate this. This is weird. This is creepy.
So, as basic as this game is, I still have quite a strong nostalgic attachment to it. So, I'm going to go with the retrograde of D+, for dizzying, dumb and dippy. But a bit fun. That's the plus bit. So, there you have it, the worst PS2 games in my collection. And, well, I'm glad that the Retronomicon spared these in the end, because they're quite nostalgic. At least parts of them are. As terrible as they are, they're like time capsules of the past, and I'm glad I still have them. So, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been the Retronomicon. My name is Matt, and until next time, subscribe. You're back again? Yes, I'm back. Well, what is it this time? He said he wants us to finish what we started. What the fuck is this? The fuck is this shit?
Such a fucking pussy, man.
Fucking book. Oh, you think this is funny, do you? Think this is fucking funny? I'll just send it to hell like the others.
Did you really think I'd let you do that before I've had my fun?
God damn it, what gives?
I gave you those powers, and I can take them away. You're gonna have to review it, douchebag.
No fucking way. No. There's no fucking way I'm doing this. There must be some kind of spell or curse or incantation inside this thing that could save me from this shit. Guess I'm reviewing it then. Dude, just shut the fuck up, man.
Okay, fuck.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Retronomicon. Today's topic, we're finishing what I started in the last episode and looking at the worst PlayStation 2 game I could get my hands on. Lovingly provided by the Retronomicon. Thanks a fucking lot. You thought those games in the last episode were bad. Let me show you the bottom of the barrel. Let me show you the brown, sticky substance that clings to it. The most foul, sorry excuse for a game you'll ever see on the PlayStation 2. Barbie Wild Horse Rescue. Barbie! Now, I know what you're thinking. This is a kid's game. A game for toddlers. Little kids who don't know any better and just need a colourful distraction from eating shit out of a sandbox. But when I think of kids' games, I don't really think of them as being simple or bad because they don't have to be good. I think of educational games like the ones I used to have as a kid. Read, write and type. All-E's draw a story. And yes, they're simple because they target a baby demographic, but that doesn't mean the games don't achieve what they set out to do. That is, educate. In my mind, if a game for kids isn't educational, then it's suitable for everyone, or rated E for everybody, or suitable for everybody over 3. So I think about games like Crash Bandicoot, or Sonic the Hedgehog, or literally the hundreds of 2D Mario titles, and they're bright, they're colourful, they're charming for the kids, but they can still be enjoyed by adults. So my point is that a game for kids can still be fun for adults. So let's just keep that in mind as we get into this.
I'm ready.
So before we actually play, let's look at the box art. Okay, immediately you're thinking boring as fuck, right? But look here, the sparkly horseshoe has a shadow. That's neat. And the wild horse rescue part is being cheekily lassoed from off screen, but is only interested in the horse rescue part, cutting into the D of wild. You see, it's chaos, pure fucking chaos. The rest seems fine, I suppose. Look kids, it's Barbie on a horse. Barbie on a horse. It's got Barb on a horse. And then you see this strip of colour down the side and you think, why the fuck is that there? And why does Barbie's pissing hair need to cut into an otherwise pointless border? Okay, here we go. Developed by Blitz Games. They appear to be a trusted British development team responsible for a fair few games based on popular characters. Everything from Chicken Run to SpongeBob and those horrendous Bratz dolls. Yeesh. But while it sounds like the Barbie company would have nothing to worry about, remaining sure that a developer with such experience would do them some level of justice. But the reality is, this shit was shot out of corporate asses so quickly with such little regard for its quality that it blew a hole through the bathroom floor. Here we go. Oh, good grief. Oh. Sup, bitch? Okay, so first off, these cinematics are horrifying. The graphics would have been comparable to those early release titles we looked at last time, but this game came out 2 whole years after Final Fantasy X. Okay, they clearly didn't have the same funding, but then why the fuck bother? Like this little cinematic here before the title screen. I mean, if you can't get a rabbit to not look like an emaciated freak, then why include it? It's a game about goddamn horses! Anyway, Barbie and her gal pals are retreating to a horse riding getaway. I don't need to sugarcoat it, I'm just gonna state the obvious. These bitches look like some freaky fucking mannequins, and this cinematic's making me sick to my stomach. Sick! I know they're based on dolls or whatever, but why do they have to have these rigid, plasticky hands? And why do they have to have the same horrifying proportions as the Barbie dolls? Couldn't they just be human, for the sake of it? Or for the sake of my sanity? The other thing with this dialogue is that a lot of it contradicts itself. Like, for example, they say they've been on this trip before, yet when they arrive, Barbie says,
Silver Valley Stables, this is it!
Why does she say it like that? She knows where she's going, she knows what it looks like, she says it in a way that implies it's her first time here, but maybe I'm just nitpicking, but it irks me, damn it. When they arrive, they chat with an elderly woman known as Mrs. Hepburn, who Barbie somehow knows. No, it's not her mother or relative or anything, just some old woman that she's decided to sponge off of. She may not know the woman on a first-name basis, yet will gladly abuse her generosity regardless. Good stuff. After a quick how do you do, they go to their beds to rest after a long 5-minute drive, but before they do, Lady Faceache over here says,
You made it just before the rain.
Adding,
It's the horses. They always know when a storm's brewing.
Foreshadowing. I wonder what's going to happen next in this riveting tale. So a storm happens overnight, shock horror, and the gate to the horse pen blows open and the horses escape. Why wouldn't you lock the fucking thing? How do I know it wasn't locked? Because if the shitting storm was powerful enough to shatter a pissing padlock this easily, then these people would probably be dead and I'd be doing something else. Anything else. The next morning, Barbie is like, you were right. This shit's incredibly played out.
It was blowing all night. I know, Barbie. And that's not all.
So was I. Barbie, wild horse rescue. With the horses missing, Barbie and her hoes volunteer to look for them. And, well, that's it. That's the plot. So now we've got that complete drivel out of the way, let's play the game. So we start in a hub area where we have access to the house, which acts as a character creation / changing room where we can design our very own Barbie. Stables where we can modify the appearance of the horses, and another little area for you to clean your horse. Let's start by getting some fresh threads on this thicko. Okay, a loading screen. Okay. Come on! So we finally get to this very uninspired menu to design our Barbie doll. And we don't have a lot of options right now, but we can choose the basic attire, top, bottoms, and a hat. Don't need a helmet, as I doubt a kicking from a horse would change much. Dope! And now we can head back out to the hub area and move on to picking our horse. Another loading screen. Okay, let's head out to the barn and... Oh, for the love of fuck. For the love of fuck. That's right, every time you enter or leave either of these features, you have a loading screen. And not only that, but these might be the most boring loading screens I've ever seen. I mean, for fuck's sake, if the game needs to have this many loading screens, they could have at least given the player something interesting to look at. I mean, as a game tradition, loading screens were often an excuse for developers to be creative, using it as an opportunity to give you a pretty picture to look at. Even that piece of shit game Extermination had this cool and creepy animation of a heartbeat monitor when the game was loading, which was a lot. But here, the developers just stick a block of pink colour on the screen with the rudimentary loading bar across the bottom. I mean, fuck, they could have at least shown us a picture of Barbie on a horse, like they did on the menu, and title screen. Even the incredibly flat and unappealing box art would have at least shown you tried, shits games. Anyway, sorry I keep going off on these tangents, but it's hard to stay focused when there's so much wrong and we haven't even started fucking playing yet. Where was I? Oh yes. Barb's Horse. So in the barn we have to select a horse to get started. My god, look at these horse names. Half of these are incredibly ironic considering the horses are afraid of storms, and the other half appear to be stripper names, which brings the joke round full circle. These horses are horses. We only have access to one horse at the moment, Blossom, that one horse that was in solitary when the storm hit. So let's pick it. Another loading screen. Really? Once in the horse customization menu, we really start to see the game struggle. Scrolling through the different options on this screen causes a ridiculous drop in frames as it jerks around, making this whole menu an absolute chore to get through, as the constant lagging really gets in the way of you seeing all your options quickly. Oh god, I hate this. So you can throw a lick of paint on your horse and change its colour. You can customise the style of mane of your horse, as well as alter the colours. Should I be concerned about animal cruelty here? Oh, kill me! There, we're done. Looks great. Whatever. Still feels incredibly vain and stupid, but yeah. Okay, let's exit out. Okay, and exit out of the barn. Would you please? That's right, that's 2 loading screens to get into the menu, and 2 loading screens to get back out again. How much could this game be pushing the PS2? Absolutely fucking ridiculous. Holy shit, we're on a horse. Okay, this feels fine, I guess. Feels akin to a lot of other horse riding mechanics like riding Epona from Zelda, or even Red Dead Redemption, I guess. So far, it's adequate. The daft old bitch that can't lock a gate teaches you how to get on and off your horse, but you can also hold the reins of your horse and drag him around. Oh man, look at Barb's spaghetti legs. She also moves at the speed of sloth shit, and there's no run button. After getting on your horse and wiping old lady Hepburn's wrinkled ass, you finally get to leave this square of nothing and find the entrances to the game's levels. Oh my god, we're actually going to play the game. Fuck. After all this build up, customizing and getting on my goddamn horse, I'm expecting these levels to be, well, not fun per se, but better than a fucking loading screen. Okay, Forest Trail 1. One more loading screen, of course. The longest yet. Okay, finally, we're off. My god, these graphics are shocking. Everything's pretty low in polygons and has no detail, but I guess we knew that a game with a box art like this one was not going to impress visually. But I really can't stop looking at those freakishly skinny legs. Should have mentioned as well that the sound and music continues to be mediocre, but certainly not the worst video game soundtrack I've ever heard. That's still held by Gex. It can be quite serene and peaceful. But that's probably just to keep you calm as the game throws its feces at you. So the main objective of the game is to save these foals. To do so, you need to get off your horse and then press the square button to put a rope around its neck and then lead it to a designated safe spot. A couple of hay bales and a pole. Yeah, and to be quite honest, this is all the game is. And the safe spot is never that far away from the foal, so none of these are really challenging whatsoever. I could understand, I suppose, the challenge of navigating to a safe spot if there wasn't a giant fucking arrow on the top of the screen telling you exactly where you need to go. So the game is basically baby's first crazy taxi. On a horse. There were a couple of times where you had to go different routes back to the safe spot after collecting the foal, but all it did was eat up more of your precious time, as old Barb still moves at the speed of grass growing. In the levels I played, there was no real puzzles. Is this even a fucking game? There are enemies in the form of other animals, such as skunks, that really don't cause many problems at all. You can fly straight past them, but later you have to use these collectible apples to feed the skunks to distract them while you lead a scared foal past them to a safe spot. Which is still right where the skunk is. What? I also forgot to mention earlier that once you get a foal to a safe spot, you have an unskippable cutscene every time. of Barb calling someone to pick up the foal. Not only is this annoying, but it also doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, this foal is just left next to the skunk. I literally did not make it any easier for anybody to reach the foal. I just moved it a bit. It's fucking silly. If you get hit enough by these things and die, you're restarted a short distance behind where you were. And of course, you're not really dying, so why would there be lives? There is no challenge here whatsoever. Now, if you remember what I said at the start about kids games, even if this is targeted at little kids, as if there was any questioning that, there's no need for the game to be so simplistic, tedious and boring. If the game was going to be this basic, it needed to at least be educational. And in the few levels I played, I saw nothing of the kind, except...
Oh, the baby horse.
Good job, game. The little girl you've bored to tears of anguish now knows what a baby horse is called. One of the only things that I do like are the time trial minigame thingies. The game really could have done with more of these. The change in pace was greatly welcomed, but lasted less than a minute. Sometimes you need to giddy up your horse with the square button to jump logs of shit and gaps in the floor. Whoa, I landed on nothing. Great job, game developers, and also duck out of the way of higher shit logs. So many logs. So many logs of shit. This game is shit. Coincidence? Wait a second. Skunks? Smelly skunks? They know. Anyway, at the end of the first level, you have to catch a horse. What? You were expecting some kind of boss? Don't be silly. You just have to stay near it on horseback for 5 seconds until Barbie can get her shit together and throw a rope. Yeah, it was that easy. Oh, and of course she has to call this one in as well. I swear to God, you spend half the fucking game watching Barbie call someone else to finish the job she started and couldn't be bothered to finish. But she'll gladly add Bluebow to her collection of horses. Okay, so here's another thing that bugs me. The additional horses mean jack fucking shit. Now, giving each horse different stats or something, like they get faster, or maybe the fucking friendship bar thing goes down slower, but no. I mean, there may be a chance each horse goes a slightly different speed than the last, but it's not told to you, and it's more than likely just an unlocking another horse slot thing. God, that sounds fucking weird. And unlocking more customization options for them. And that's it. That's really it. At the end of the second level, I had to horse race Teresa, or whatever her sodding name is, and beat her to complete the level. Nice. Teaching kids to shirk their responsibilities in favour of fun and games. Shouldn't they be getting on with the horse rescue? I mean, it's in the fucking title of the game, for fuck's sake. Okay, I think that's it. I think I've covered every last shit nugget this game has to offer. I've covered the pointless fucking foals, the glitchy, weird graphics with the terrible frame rates, the stupid enemies, and the lack of puzzles and challenges. Yep, I think that's all the points covered. Wait? Multiplayer?
Oh, fucking hell.
Can you imagine getting someone you know to play this with you?
Hey.
What?
Do you want to play Barbie?
No.
So it turns out that you can play the minigames from the single player in a separate mode, where you can play them on your own or with a friend. You can select from the many 4 characters, including Barb, her 2 hoes, and Mrs. Hipbreak. And you can play 4 minigames. The first is horse racing, standard. The second is a coin collecting minigame, which you can play cooperatively or counter-operatively. The third is a head-to-head race to rescue horses, like we did at the end of the first level. And the fourth, and thankfully final minigame, is scaring birds on a beach. Great stuff. But you know what? It's the only one that's fucking playable. The other 3 games have a snail-paced frame rate, which makes them an absolutely horrendous experience. I swear to God, I've not altered this capture whatsoever. I don't think I've ever seen a PS2 game struggle to run this much. I remember playing games on Windows fucking 98 that ran better than this. Look at this coin mode. With all these coins on the screen, it felt like the game was going to crash at any fucking moment. The Seagull game, however, runs fairly well. And it has its own unique map compared to the other minigames. Is that why? Is this minigame the only one they finished? Or cared about? Anyway, I can imagine this being kind of fun for a couple of toddlers or a couple of stoners, but the rest of these minigames are completely unplayable. I mean, what an embarrassment. The worst part, the rest of these could have actually been somewhat fun, I suppose, with their competitive nature and round-based setup, yet they have been butchered by a complete lack of fucks to give. Shame on you, Blitz Games. Shame on you! This game is an insult. It's an insult to the intelligence of children. It's an insult to the PS2's legacy. It's a balloon of bile spewing its putrid fucking mess everywhere over whatever poor fucker plays it, adult or child. So, with that considered, this game gets an F for fiendish filth designed by feckless fuckwits. Be gone! Thank fuck for that. Anyway, so thank you guys for tuning in. This has been the Retronomicon. My name is Matt. And until next time, subscribe. Shut up.
Oh.
Dickhead. Not you. Him.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hi everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Retronomicon. Fuck. Okay. Today's terrifying because me and this bellend of a book over here have decided to look at some obscure, spooky games from my collection.
Not so fast!
What the fuck? Dude!
No, fuck.
What the fuck, dude?
Guess you'll have to reach up inside me.
Oh god, really?
It's not my ass, douche. I'm a fucking book or whatever.
No way I'm doing that. You've seen what's inside you, man. You're some freaky deaky shit.
Listen, douche. It's the only way you're gonna get your precious shirt back. So if I were you, I'd get reaching.
Okay. Fucking hell. Okay.
Look, douche, it's not my ass, okay?
Yeah, well, it might as well be. So this is Casper for the PlayStation. This one is based off of the 1998 live-action film adaptation of Casper the Friendly Ghost, the only memorable cartoon character from the Harvey Films company. If you haven't seen it, the film is, to be honest, a very hit-and-miss kind of film, yet it does still manage to entertain me to this day.
Who are you gonna call? Someone else.
Ha! And also continues to freak me the fuck out. It's also one of those early CGI films, and for the most part, the film was an awkward, quintessential 90s production that attempted to reboot interest in the friendly cartoon ghost. While the film didn't really deliver in that regard, every subsequent attempt was undeniably worse than the last. I mean, what the fuck is this? Hilary Duff? Hilarious Dump, more like. And all of these were direct-to-video sequels. Remember those? And Casper never hit the big screen again. Only fitting, I suppose. Now the character is both dead literally and figuratively. But honestly, I remember this game being quite good. Not amazing, but definitely a memorable game in my early years. The game must have caused me some great level of frustration. As you can see here, there's what appears to be a gunshot on the cover. I must have shot it with a BB. Can't remember for the life of me why. Let's find out. So the game starts and whoa, okay, a lot of people worked on this. Okay, oh wow, more. Really? God, so many people worked on this, I'm expecting a work of fucking art. The game loosely follows the events of the film, with Casper, the friendly ghost with his big wide cartoon eyes, serial killer smile and a generally jizz-like consistency, is visited at his haunted home of Whipstaff Manor by Kat, played by young Christina Ricci, and her father, played by Bill Pullman. Generally speaking, the similarities to the original film end there, with only a couple of moments from the film making it into the game's cinematics. You take control of Casper as you complete objectives to further the game's 3 acts. First, by acquiring certain items as gifts for those people melting in the bed upstairs, and then by solving the rest of the manor's many puzzles, often defeating Casper's uncles to retrieve parts of the Lazarus machine to turn Casper back into a real child, to resurrect Casper into being living again, turn Casper back into a living child. The game is ultimately a puzzle-solving collectathon, with almost every item that isn't food requiring a specific use somewhere in either overcoming a puzzle such as unlocking a door, or defeating Casper's uncles, Stretch, Stinky, and morbidly obese Brad Garrett.
Feed me!
For the most part, the graphics are quite pleasing, if not a bit unsettling, but I imagine that was the point. Casper himself looks a little bit like an inflated condom with a face drawn on, but the pre-rendered backgrounds have an eerie quality to them which leaves you a bit on edge. And for good reason, as Casper's uncles often jump out of chests or vents to do you damage as well as scare the living shit out of you. The animations are actually quite delightful, especially when compared to those lifeless humans upstairs. Oh, the irony. Casper and his uncles look great, and the game does a good job of translating their designs. Casper's morph power-ups, which I'll go into more detail about soon, are beautifully animated, although the game does like to momentarily freeze when transforming, but I think this can be forgiven considering. Where I feel this game really excels, however, is with its sound design. The music is intense, frightening and beautifully scored, with some rooms such as the attic having a very dark and foreboding tone that for kids I can confirm is fucking terrifying. This particular track reaches an absolutely incredible climax, which, to be honest, has no business being this good. There are also loud taunts from Casper's uncles greeting you as you enter certain rooms. On your first playthrough, it's completely unexpected and honestly scared the absolute crap out of me as a kid, and it still did when I captured the footage of this video. It still scared me then. So the puzzles mainly consist of flicking switches in a particular combination, pushing objects, and using hidden abilities to overcome certain obstacles and find secrets. You also need to find keys, which can be coloured to open certain doors. But wait, I've just realised something. I'm a ghost. Why can't I just fly through the walls? I mean, I can fly up and down and shit, so why can't I fly through the walls? Why do I have to use keys to get through doors? I mean, I think even Casper does it a couple of times in the movie, so why can't I fly through fucking walls? The first power-up you get is the smoke ability, which allows Casper to become gaseous momentarily so that he may travel through vents to find alternate paths and concealed passages that may contain collectibles such as food or health, keys or chests and doors, or fool's gold for God knows what. Wait, I'm a ghost eating food. Although to be fair, you don't eat it for your health, but what the game calls morph points, represented by the number over Casper's face in the corner of the screen. All of the other morphs in the game require these points to use. I'm going to level with you. I was a complete fucking dumbass when I recorded the footage for this video, and, well, I stopped, take a break, you know, that sort of thing, have some food, and I forgot to save it, so considering how much time I'd spent running around in fucking circles in this fucking shithole, I wasn't best pleased. So in my frustration, I looked up a cheat that would give me access to all of the morphs, so that I could at least show them off in this video, including some I've never even seen before, because fuck off if I ever completed this game. Because I forgot to mention earlier, some of these games' puzzles are absolutely ludicrous and require you to backtrack an obscene amount, with no map. No map. No. There's no map. There's no map. Get out your pen and paper. The game does warn you at one point that you should draw a map to keep track of everywhere you've been, but this isn't until fairly far into the game, immediately after completing a tedious as fuck hedge maze. Absolute bullshit. Anyway, so to get to the cheat room, I have to do this free-flying cheat. To do this, I have to fly up into the uppermost left part of any room, in this case this one, and press and hold up, left, L1, R1 and start. Then you have to release up, left and L1 while continuing to hold down start and R1. Then you need to hold down and right while still holding start and R1, and then I have to press triangle. Hey, it worked! What a load of fucking shit. It's worth it though. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm flying around like fucking mad now. I am God! Now, not only can I fly over all doors and walls, but I can also get into this cheat room straight away, which has every item needed to beat the game, including all keys, puzzle objects, and morphs. Some of these power-ups are needed to get past certain obstacles, such as the buzzsaw morph. Wait, you're telling me a ghost that can't fly through walls, can't even squeeze through a small gap between two pieces of wood? What? While the other morphs have particular uses in particular bosses, such as the hammer morph. There are a fair few others as well, including the ball and spring morphs, and a light bulb. Why is he doing that? What's that? What's that about? There's even a morph that turns you into Super Casper, like he does in the movie. It's pretty cool, actually. And there's this inflate ability thing, which I'm sure serves some purpose somewhere in the game, but all it seems to do is make Casper look like a blow-up sex doll. So, all in all, not a bad entry on the PlayStation. Definitely worthy of staying in my collection. Casper there on PS1. I'm going to go with the retrograde of C for cockamamie crap, but it still has its place, so we're going to hold on to that one. I think you're going to have to do better than that, my friend, because that's not a bad game. Not really. So let's carry on fishing for this shirt. Hopefully no more of that crap. Thank you, sir. Oh, God, no. No. Nope. That's not a horror game. Oh god, that is, but we're not. No, we're not. Not doing that. No. Oh. Not too bad. Heart of Darkness on PlayStation. Don't know what you're doing, man. This is a pretty good game. Right? Okay, so the game doesn't quite count as a horror title per se, it's actually more of an action platform with some animated movie qualities. But if this game's case isn't enough to convince you of its scare factor... Jesus wept! Holy fuck, look at that! Heart of Darkness is the creative vision of Eric Chahi, the man behind a little game called Another World, of which this game is a spiritual successor. Chahi made Another World entirely on his own and released it in 1991. It was an incredibly innovative 2D adventure game that put cinematic effects in the cutscenes and gameplay. You played as a scientist that accidentally teleported himself into a situation where he must dodge certain death constantly, whereas in Heart of Darkness, released 7 years later in 1998, you play as a young boy saving his dog, where he must dodge certain death constantly. So Chahi's pseudo-sequel follows the thoroughly annoying kid Andy as he's chased out of his class by holy fuck, that's terrifying. Later, whilst chilling in the park, his dog is sucked into a vortex in the sky. Hey. It happens. And hey, before you say anything, I'm aware that this frame rate is pretty nauseating by today's standards, but there is no denying the scope and ambition of what they were going for. These cinematics, of which are several minutes long, were all contained on those PlayStation CD-ROMs, and this game is in fact a 2-disc game for that exact reason. Very ambitious stuff. The in-game graphics comparatively are fantastic. The pre-rendered backgrounds aid the transition between gameplay and cutscene, as well as being incredibly immersive. The foregrounds also move, alive with plants and weird alien creatures. They're often silhouetted as well, which adds even more to the atmosphere. The cinematic backgrounds will animate and change, sometimes drastically and suddenly with striking effect. Take this, the very start of the game for example. You jump out of your broken ship and then BAM! Jesus Christ! This immediately warns you how close to death you're going to come throughout the game. For the most part, you're trying to survive and advance to the right side of the screen to reach the end of the level or section, usually signified by a transition into full motion video. Other than the previously mentioned frame rate troubles in the cinematics, Heart of Darkness is one of the most visually stunning games on the PlayStation in my opinion. The sound design is also nothing short of impressive. While there isn't much music to speak of, other than the occasional dramatic sting, the sound effects are crisp. Your attacks and the enemies you fight all have detailed sounds that immerse and scare you even more. The dark creatures that often chase you chirp and gabble as they swarm in large numbers. These revolting worm things, which I'm going to have to talk about later because they're fucking disgusting, skittle and hiss as they come towards you. As gross as these things are, they're also beautifully animated and interact with the background in a way that no other enemy does. But it can fuck right off. Burn it with fire! Now, the one thing that drew me back to this game several times growing up was its striking and almost confused tone. The game would quickly shift from being a playful Pixar-type cartoon to a dark and twisted experience that often leaves you, the player, feeling as scared, powerless and fragile as Andy. Taking this opening sequence again, for example. The game does a great job of just throwing you in and teaching you how to shoot your laser, and then using it to crowd control a bunch of monsters swarming you. You're alone. You're fighting for your own survival against an entire army of these things. A screen or two later, this big-bellied bastard and his posse busts through the wall like BAM! And you're like, oh shit! It's unexpected and it scares the crap out of you. Then this fucker eats your laser, leaving you entirely defenseless for the next section of the game, kicking you back out into the cinematic right in front of these things. And you're of course forced to run. This all happens within the first few screens. It's insane. In fact, you spend a fair portion of the game either utterly defenseless against what appears to be insurmountable odds, or narrowly avoiding traps at any given turn that are hairs away from decimating you. This creates tension in the gameplay that is very valid, and is what makes the game so great. There are these moments where you're genuinely on the edge of your seat as an enemy sneaks up behind you, or like where this giant swamp monster bigger than anything else in the game will eat you whole if you do so much as hesitate swimming to the right. It's horrifying and exciting. Oh, I should have mentioned, almost everything, and I mean 99% of everything, kills you with one hit. In fact, Andy dies so easily and so horrifically, it's actually quite disturbing at times. The animations for his many deaths are terrifying and, well, goddamn impressive. So, here are my top 3 deaths in Heart of Darkness. Number 3. The one where the flying fuckers snap your spine like a fucking twiglet. The snap is horrifying. There's the fact that the thing just starts flying off with your corpse for later consumption. Horrifying. Number 2. The one where he's eaten by one of those absolute revolting worm things. There's a snap, probably his neck breaking, and then the vile creature drags his limp corpse into the hole. I'll never ever forget seeing this for the first time. Scared the fucking shit out of me. Honourable mentions. The one where he's instantaneously vaporized. The one where he's sucked sucked into these underwater tentacle sacks. Oh god. The one where he's eaten whole by a giant spider.
Number 1.
The one where he's pulled down and eaten apart right in front of you by one of these crawling demon things. Look, you can see where they've tried to make it look like his shirt, but you and me both know that's flesh being torn from his body. This is a child's corpse being eaten savagely by a monster. And you're fucking telling me that this game's suitable for all ages. Censors today would have never allowed this to happen. And by no means did these grisly deaths cause any controversy at the time either. What the fuck happened? Either way, I'm glad for it, because it meant the game made a lasting impact on my young mind, and made me appreciate how immersive a game could be, and how tense it could make you. Anyway, the game's puzzles are ingenious, if not a bit perplexing at times, and more often than not require a certain amount of trial and error. The game doesn't do much to hold your hand either, except for the occasional hint if you keep dying a particular section. While I really like puzzles that require you to study enemy patterns and behaviour like this, it can also put a lot of players off, especially as the game also consistently tests your patience, often sending you back several screens, forcing you to redo a section just to have another crack at a screen you're stuck on. And of course, naturally, it's so easy to die from the slightest mistake that you start getting impatient and rushing the previous screens, causing more stupid mistakes. Fuck! Okay, alright. Let's try that again. Come on, come on. It's okay. It's okay. Let's just try it again. It's all gonna be fine. So while you lose your laser weapon near the start of the game, a couple of sections later and you find this glowing green rock underwater, and it gives you the ability to fire two types of green projectiles, a smaller, weaker one, and a larger, stronger one. I absolutely love this bit. You soon learn that the larger version is not only more satisfying, but can also blast away walls in your way, take out enemies, although it's by no means as effective as your laser, and allow you to make these seeds grow into trees that you can climb, or turn the trees back into seeds again. You also learn fairly early on that you can kick these seeds around on the floor to reposition a tree to climb. These mechanics become integral to many of the game's puzzles. Like I said before though, the game doesn't do much to inform you of this, at least not until you've died a couple of times. And while I've said this is inherently frustrating, it only makes completing these puzzles all the more satisfying. Although you don't know where the game is going to respawn you if you die, as checkpoints aren't made clear to you, so you better be damned careful when you go onto that next screen. Overall, still a great experience, and I recommend checking it out, which is why I haven't mentioned many of the plot points, and I've also omitted talking about the very end of the game. All I'll say is that it's one hellish gauntlet, but it feels amazing to beat, and caps off one of the most memorable games I've ever played on the original PlayStation. So there you go, that's Heart of Darkness for the PlayStation. Really not a bad game. Really enjoyed this one. It can be very, very frustrating at times, and downright cruel, but I still like this game, so I'm going to give this game a C+ for a cracking but cruel caper. So we're going to hold on to that one, because I quite like that, and I think with that, you have failed, dude. You've actually failed to torture me on this one, so how about giving me my shirt back? Hey, maybe? Oh. Oh. Like, fuck for that. Oh, that's better. Oh, feels different somehow. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in to this Retronomicon Halloween special. My name is Matt, and whether you're staying at home watching some scary movies or you're out trick-or-treating, please, I hope you have a happy, happy Halloween. So that's all from me. Thank you guys for tuning in, and until next time. Subscribe!
Every you on the YouTube liked Christmas a lot, although the evil Retronomicon
did not. Matt is just a guy trying to enjoy the season.
There we are.
But the book simply hates Christmas, and no one quite knows the reason. We join Matt now with his shirt and all, for the book to exclaim,
"Your dick's 2 sizes too small."
"You know, that's not very clever," said Matt in reply. "You're just lacking the spirit, while mine's in no short supply."
"Ah, humbug," said the book with disdain. "You didn't even bother to pick out a Christmas game."
Matt turns to the side and begins to think of a game he could play that doesn't totally stink.
Christmas games are rare. There aren't that many. I've none in my collection, not 1, 2, or any.
The book cackled as it summoned its power, as another Matt walked in, just past the hour.
Hey, it's Christmas!
This Matt said with celebration.
I got you the Grinch for the Sony PlayStation.
Matt couldn't believe that it was as he feared. He had a game to review, as the other him disappeared. So with the cackle of the book, all Matt could do was sit and say,
Guess I'll have to review this fucking piece of shit.
Matt takes a seat now, his positivity now microscopic. He sat down in his chair and said,
Ugh. Today's topic, it's Christmas,
said Matt with a bit of a scoff.
What the fuck's with that voice? I wish it would fuck off.
Now the review is starting, I'm glad to say, that the rhyming is going to stop. Hooray. So this is The Grinch for PlayStation 1. This game was released around the same time as the Jim Carrey adaptation of The Grinch from 2000. It appears as a hodgepodge between this film and previous adaptations. As you can see here from the box art, we don't see Jim Carrey, but what looks like a more traditional animated representation of the Grinch, such as the famous Chuck Jones incarnation from 1966. Yet this version is wearing cool, hip sunglasses. Why? When have we ever seen the Grinch wearing sunglasses? Whoville is hardly a tropical island getaway, is it? Seriously, I'm questioning this creative decision hard. Is it to appeal to those cool, hip kids? Or are the creators of this frosty bucket of dog shit just completely out of touch with the subject matter? But look here, the game is published by those clever clogs over at Konami, so when I see this logo on the cover, I see it as a seal of decent quality. But you and I both know there's only one way to find out if that shit on the floor really is shit. We gotta pick it up, smell it, and stick it in a PlayStation. So in these opening credits we see the developers, Artificial Mind and Movement. A quick Google search and we have a list of all the games they developed as A2M before changing their name to Behaviour Interactive. Wait, why did they change their name? It says here, partly due to one particular obscene interpretation of the initialism A2M. I'm not getting it. Better click the hyperlink. Holy shit, that's amazing. Okay, so sidestepping that tangent real quick, when the developers were known as Ass to Mouth, The Grinch was their first game to be developed in 2000, but continued to develop a lot of games based on popular licenses. Yeah, it's another one of those developers, like good old Shits Games from the Barbie video, making these guys like the Canadian equivalent, eh? They made Bugs Bunny and Taz Time Busters as well, which is another PS1 game I remember fondly along with The Grinch. But looking through the rest of this list, I have to say, this is a real mountain of shit. Seems to be a lot of Disney Channel properties as well, which I'm finding particularly disturbing, especially games based off of Lizzie McGuire, That's So Raven, Kim Possible, and The Sweet Life of Motherfucking Zack and Cody. Enough introduction, let's play the game. Okay, so the Grinch in the game actually looks a lot more like Jim Carrey's Grinch from the film that this game is supposedly cashing in on. But I still don't understand why they wouldn't just use promotional images of the film on the game's case. This was officially licensed, so why wouldn't you? Although I wouldn't expect the developers of Drake and Josh on the fucking Game Boy Advance to know dicks. The graphics are angular, but certainly not the worst graphics you've ever seen. However, considering this game was released towards the end of the PS1's lifespan, only months prior to the release of the PS2, this definitely changes your perspective a bit. Many of the game's models seem to clip into each other frequently, while some surfaces and textures are just sometimes not there. There's also occasional frame rate drops that seemingly happen for no reason, and a whole bunch of other weird programming, such as Wow, fuck me. It's Christmas and our Lord has returned. Seriously, why is he just floating there? I'm no expert, but this doesn't look like something that would be hard to fix. So I take back what I said about these graphics being acceptable. There's clearly a lot of rushed work going on here, and I've just got to give that a thumbs down. On the other hand, first impressions of the sound design are good. The soundtrack and voice acting are great.
I got it! I have a great idea. This year, the Who's will pay.
Although that's definitely not Jim Carrey. Whoever it is does a fine enough job, as does the narrator.
That, in fact, is the misanthrope scheme. Build gadgets from blueprints, halt the holiday theme.
I love how much they stick to the famous Dr. Seuss rhyming scheme. Although once the game gets going and every element of the game is introduced to you in this way, it can start to get right on your tits.
Who grown-ups and children alike fear the Grinch, but they hope that through hugs he may change just an inch. One important task is breaking holiday gifts. Just thinking of this deed, the Grinch spirit lifts. This vile, fragile item's your most useful tool. You plop it in Grinch gadgets to give them more fuel.
Alright, we get it. Fuck. So I'm guessing you're all familiar with the Grinch story. The Grinch is an antisocial degenerate that's been outcast from the perpetual Christmas society of Whoville. So he plans to enact his Christmas-themed revenge using his cruel and twisted gadgets.
The rocket spring.
Okay.
To perform magnificent jumps.
Yep, that's fine.
The Grinch copter? With this, I can fly over the despicable Who's.
What the fuck would that achieve exactly?
Maybe the octopus climbing device to scale the walls?
Again, what would that accomplish? So because the film that this is supposedly based on had the Grinch portrayed as a lonely, misunderstood inventor of sorts, the game takes this idea and runs with it. But seriously, Grinch copter? As a vengeful engineer of this caliber, he's practically a domestic terrorist. Why didn't he just build a bomb and blow them up? No, stop it. It's Christmas. I must avoid these tangents. So anyway, after the Grinch has lost his gadget's blueprints to the forces of nature, you finally get to take control. You start with the quick tutorial section that teaches you how to flatten things with your fat, furry green ass, take control of Max, your dog slave, move things, and, well, breathe. And then you're shown to a hub room, where you can enter the various areas of Whoville, which act as self-contained levels of the game. You have to return to this room to build your surreal, twisted gadgets once you've collected all the required blueprints, which are hidden around the levels. It's worth mentioning here before we move on that the controls aren't the best, and while the Grinch feels quite fun to control on the ground, with some pretty amusing run and walk animations, the jumps and ground pounds feel a bit delayed and sticky. For now, this isn't a huge problem, so let's move swiftly on. Within each level or area you have villainous tasks to complete that are sure to ruin everyone's good time. I'm not gonna lie, I loved games like this back in the day. It's basically your typical collectathon puzzle game in the same vein as games like Banjo-Kazooie, for example, except you're collecting the pain and sorrow of the Whoville denizens by systematically fucking with them. La 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 la. Fuck the Who's. What's unique here is that you're a villain, with your goal to cause chaos rather than save the day, and it's still quite refreshing to experience it today. There are some simpler objectives, or missions as the game puts it, that are similar across the several levels, such as squashing all the presents or destroying a certain amount of Christmas stuff, but also unique level objectives that often require either a certain gadget, puzzle object, or both. There are also these set areas within the levels, such as the sorting office here in the first level, with a unique level objective inside that usually requires solving a straightforward puzzle. You often need to use the Grinch's pedo powers to sneak around guards, use Max to enter small passages, unlock doors, and find puzzle items, or push and pull objects and switches to overcome obstacles. Once you've completed your dastardly deed, the mission is cleared with a tick on your mission menu, and you're treated to a little cinematic of the Grinch having an aneurysm. As you progress through each level, you'll find the Grinch's lost blueprints for his many gadgets, which will allow you to complete more missions. Returning to the hub area of Mount Crumpet, you have to use the machine in the center to rearrange the blueprints in the correct combination. Honestly, this part is not only stupid and unnecessary, but the blueprints look like wank stains and you can never really see what you're doing, making this a matter of annoying trial and error most of the time. In fact, that's my problem with a few things here. For example, you're taught fairly early on how to have the Grinch swing on these poles, yet the manner in which you jump from these posts, at least at first, feels about as consistent as the weather on fucking Mars, and I think this is mostly caused by the sticky jumping that I mentioned earlier. You eventually learn that there are actually two different jump timings, which are completely ridiculous by the way, but considering how much spoon feeding the game did up to this point, I'm more surprised this wasn't made clear to you. Especially here, as if you fuck up once, you have to keep running back and trying again, which gets incredibly fucking frustrating. What makes jumping from these poles even more annoying is that you have to hold the square button to spin around and must keep the button held while you time the jump, which I promise you sucks jingle balls. But yeah, you just have to repeatedly try different things until you figure out what works, which would honestly make this game tough for kids, which I'm naturally assuming is the game's main demographic. Sometimes a puzzle may involve trial and error, but only because the graphics become so questionable that it's hard to tell what you're looking at. Like here in this clock tower on the first level. Once you've gotten the gadgets to get up there, you have to complete 3 rooms of puzzles that involve flicking switches to move gears. The problem is that the gears look like they're made of fucking cardboard, and so it's hard to tell exactly what the switches are doing without hitting this button to see what you've got to move where. If that sounds confusing, it's because it is. Generally speaking, the game's puzzles are fit for purpose, but also a bit flat and uninspired. Anyway, the gadgets that you get throughout the game are basically power-ups that allow you to access more parts of each level and complete more mission objectives. All of the gadgets require an ammunition of rotten eggs to use, which you find throughout the levels as rotten egg plants that apparently grows in the middle of several inches of snow. Makes sense. The first one you get is the rotten egg launcher, which is the closest we're ever going to get to see the Grinch holding a semi-automatic weapon. You can use this gadget to shoot enemies as well as cause certain effects, yet you have to use it in first person, which is complete arsery in my opinion. The first level, for example, has a mission that has you stink out houses by shooting rotten eggs through the open windows. How deliciously evil. And also a mission where you need to shoot this clock to make it go forward, opening the door below. Other gadgets include the rocket jump, the slime shooter, the octoclimber, the Grinch copter, and the marine mobile. Where this game falls short compared to other games in the genre is how not very fun these power-ups are. To compare this game again to Rare's popular adventure collectathon game, Banjo-Kazooie would slowly expand your arsenal of moves as you progress through the early levels. And these moves have a variety of uses that weren't just tools for finding the necessary collectibles to progress, but often made the game more fun to control, more fun to defeat enemies, and just more fun.
Where are the eggs? Kazooie can learn to use us as memo.
It's gonna peak like fuck.
Sorry.
In the Grinch, these power-ups do no such thing. Sniping at enemies from a distance because you can't shoot unless you're in first person, again, blows. Only being able to use the octoclimber on very specific walls in the game is dumb. It should be every fucking wall. And the marine mobile having only one function in one level, with all of it doing, giving you access to a portion of said level, is shit. You call unlocking part of a level a goddamn power-up? The worst part is that the best power-up, in terms of making the game more explorative, comes right at the fucking end with the Grinch copter. I had to cheat to get this, because fuck me is this game annoying. I tried, guys. Honestly, I tried this time, but I had to cheat to show this off. The constant running around bullshit of the dump level was a real run killer for me. I hated it. So in a true 3D adventure fashion, you often have to return to a level once you've gotten a gadget from another level to complete a certain mission. So it gives the game that backtrack experience, which you obviously love. Oh man, so much goddamn backtracking. There are games that can execute backtracking in a fun, interesting way. Take a game like Metroid, for example, where backtracking through an area with your newly discovered abilities allows you to discover things on the way, making the backtracking actually explorative and fun. Whereas in this game, the power-ups just give you access to an area and that's it. Other than unlocking more levels after completing a certain amount of missions, and of course, the satisfaction of ruining some weird-nosed fucker's Christmas. It's also quite a short game, with only 4 areas to explore before the final stage: Downtown Whoville, Who Forest, The Shit, and Who Lake. In the final level, or boss of the game, you have to chase after Santa and collect any presents that he drops. Not only is this completely incorrect to the source material, but also feels somewhat anticlimactic. The music in these levels is absolutely fantastic though. In particular, the dump stage has a fantastic soundtrack with a really super cool bass line. Each stage is a variation on the main theme established in Whoville, and honestly, this music might be the best thing this game has going for it. Just as you are not a traditional hero, the enemies aren't traditional either. In fact, there really aren't that many to speak of. The majority of the enemies are Whos, including children that try to hug you to death, these annoying fuckers with snowballs, and guys with... I'm sorry, I don't get it. Are those flamethrowers? Why would they be using... You know what? Never mind. And what are these kids saying?
Hey, who are you? Big Daddy?
Who are you, Big Daddy? What the fuck does that even mean? Is this kid genuinely mistaking me for his father, or does he think I'm his pimp? These cockwaffles are the worst, man. They don't even seem to hurt you necessarily, but force you to stand there and shake them off with the D-pad. The enemies that do hurt you are even more frustrating. A lot of them can be defeated with your rotten egg launcher, but you can only fire it in first person, like I said before, so you just end up having to snipe everything from a certain distance, which feels lame and stupid. It's not like a game like Time Busters, which is also made by this company, where you run around and you can spin attack things and you can defeat enemies and collect collectibles. In this, you just have to sort of stand there and shoot in first person. That's really all you can do. There's no engagement with the enemies. You don't really feel like you're defeating anybody. You're just standing at a safe distance and shooting them with an egg. Kind of like what playing this game feels like, to be honest. Getting shot in the face with a rotten egg. Fucking bullshit. Sometimes you'll get stuck in a loop, getting hit continuously. Oh my god, shut the fuck up. Ouch! Ouch! There are quite a few enemies in the game that make me question whether arse to mouth were on crack when they were developing this. There are these mosquito things, which I'm pretty sure only exist to piss you off, as one breath takes them out. Actually hitting them though is another fucking story. And there are also these giant rabbit kangaroo things. Are these supposed to be something from another Seuss book? Maybe? I don't know, but the graphics don't help, and I honestly feel like these things are so out of place. Why are they even here? In the Who Lake level, there are these porcupines. In the dump level, there are these robots, which doesn't make a huge amount of sense, but then neither does presents being here. I guess you could argue that these are dumped presents, which in turn is a comment on commercialism, much like the original story and the film were. But then, why would I need to squash these presents with the Grinch's fat furry ass if they were throwaways? See what I mean? It kind of all starts to unravel if you think about these creative decisions too much. It was the dump level where I found this one most aggravating glitch that made me start to question my life choices. There's this guy on top of a pipe thing, which you've previously been able to jump inside to take you to a hidden room. However, this guy's not taking any of your shit. Getting to this area for the first time, I decided to try and jump up behind him, hoping I would trigger some kind of cinematic or something. I mean, I've jumped into the rest, so why not this one? But no. No, he just hits you back off. So you think, oh, okay, that's not what you do. Maybe you have to shoot him. What the... Okay, that was weird. Let's try shooting him again. What the fuck? What the fuck? From the moment I tried jumping up there, I would take unavoidable damage every time this motherfucker was in any way on the screen. This has to be one of the most horrendous glitches I've come across on the show, and quite honestly, caused my otherwise semi-positive opinion of the game to plummet. This scenario was, however, my first death in the game, and revealed that you don't actually have any lives, with your only punishment being sent back to the beginning of the level or set area within the level. The Grinch might have some of the best music I've heard on the PlayStation, but its shortcomings are far too plentiful to ignore. The graphics are very questionable, considering its year of release. The unresponsive controls are some of the most frustrating you'll ever endure on the system. There's only 4 measly levels, unlike the other more expansive games of this genre, and there are simply so many confusing choices here that I certainly can't say the game is good. That said, there is a little bit of fun to be had here, and you can't discount the game's unique premise of controlling the villain. The game has plenty of initial charm, but objectively the game is just another easily forgotten and underwhelming adventure game on the PlayStation. So that's the Grinch on PS1, Matt said. It's not the worst shit I've ever been fed. Arse to mouth went and made a decent game, but it's a shame that generally movie adaptations are lame. So with that said, it leaves a little something to be desired. So it gets a D- for something, whatever, I'm tired. So I'll leave you and go to bed this early Christmas morning before Santa arrives, but thank you so much for joining. Legend has it, as the people say, that Matt's penis grew 2 sizes that day. No, that's his narrative, not mine. You've both ruined my Christmas, and now you've both crossed a line. What the actual fuck? Matt said with a snap. What's with this book, stupid crap? And so here we leave Matt, knowing not what to do. If you're wondering where he's going with this... Yeah, well, I'll figure it out in Season 2.